We are here live tonight for one of the spectacles of racing in Indianapolis 500 here tonight. This is round number 8 of the Sim Racers Edge season, coming back from the Thanksgiving break. Hello, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese, and alongside me is my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. And Tony, we're in for a long one here tonight, but it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun with the quality of drivers that we have here.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see a very long night ahead of us.
Yeah, I certainly think so. And I thank you for warning me you were going to do that prior to the starting. Otherwise, I probably would have told you not to. But as we have qualifying underway right now. There you see the times. Similar and different to Indianapolis qualifying for the real life Indy 500, as I believe that is Jeffrey Roulette, that we have on your screen right now. 4 laps. However, because of some limitations on iRacing, we cannot take the average of the 4 laps, so we'll take the best of the 4 laps here in this qualifying. And right now, there is the man that sits at the top. It's Butch Davis.
Nothing short of what I expected. Davis was one of only a handful of drivers to go sub 42nd in the hot lap session prior to qualifying firing off. So to see him up there right now, not really a big shocker. There's a couple guys that could contend for pole position, but Butch has that John Andretti tribute paint scheme just wound right up right now.
Yeah, he certainly does, as he is on his final qualifying lap. You see down there at the bottom, yellow lap is slower than your yellow bar is slower than your personal best. A green bar is your personal best. A purple bar is the ones we're looking for. Those are session bests. As here comes Butch Davis to the line to complete his third and final lap. He wasn't too far off of what his pole time was, but here's the guy who was quickest in the hot lap session, making his debut in Sim Racer's Edge. We've seen him a lot previously in these Indy cars. Rick Ravon in the 5.
Absolutely. Ravon's always going to be difficult to beat here at the Yard of Bricks. And there it goes. He was right to the top of the pile by 5/1000ths of a second.
Yep, and set that purple second half of the lap, did Rick Ravon. Now, Ravon was 3/10 clear of the rest of the field in the practice session, so Ravon's number 5 is quick. He's on his final qualifying lap. Timothy Bates about to start his final one. Ronnie Osmer, same deal, about to start his final lap. William Fletcher, Tyler Vickery, and Ernie Ludwig also on track, as is Raul Alvarez and Paul Crumry. We're going to have 25 drivers here tonight, as Ravon cannot best his time. Timothy Bates coming through 3 and 4. He's so far not better than his personal best through the first half of the lap. We'll see if that can change for the second half.
Yeah, Bates is always strong here. As a matter of fact, the last time we were here with
tested how strong the wall was there.
Well, the last time we were here at the Yard of Bricks, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Bates win?
I believe he did, actually.
Yeah. So, hard to count out the Incredible Hulk car there. So keep your eye on that one. Another strong contender, if he can keep the car clean, is the number 3 of Paul Crumry, who is right now at the end of pit road, not looking like he's going to put a time up, though.
Will Fletcher, Raul Alvarez, Tyler Vickery, who you see on screen right now, crossing the line to complete his third lap. Vickery does not improve. But here comes the man that everyone's going to be hunting for.
Definitely not going to improve now. Is Vickery just ate hot garbage coming through 1.
There you see him. Right there.
Wow. What a shot.
We'll go back now to the man who everyone's going to be hunting for here tonight. It is the driver of the number 10, Nate Siefker. Siefker coming into this race with a 24-point lead and is on a 3-race winning streak heading into the Thanksgiving break. Now, one thing that I had pointed out to you last night, 3 of his 4 wins have come on road courses. We've only have 1 road course left, and that's going to be next week at Watkins Glen.
And I'm looking forward to that one because that's our home race, being as we're both from the semi-great state of New York. Actually, not so great state of New York, I would dare say. But politics aside, yeah, Seifer, it's going to be hard to beat him, especially what we saw the last time we had Indy cars at Watkins Glen with what Siefker did.
Certainly a wild finish, still in our archives on ESPN, on the ESPN YouTube page.
As he is on his third lap right now. That car doesn't have the same attitude to it that Ravon's did. And the speed down the front straightaway here is showing it. Hauling off into turn 1 at only 232 miles an hour. Ravon was able to clip 233. Butch Davis was able to clip 233. But, Siefker's right there. He's only 6/1000ths of a second off of Davis and only 10/1000ths off of Ravon.
He set a personal best the first half of last lap. He set the session best in the second half of last lap. He's now set a green sector 1 here as we're riding on board with the points leader, getting awfully close to that wall on corner exit of turn 4 to the line, and that will be Nate Siefker up to second and at least to the 100th marker here on our timing sheet is in a tie. But I'm sure, Tony, you have that extra
3/1000ths of a second difference between Siefker and Ravon.
Yep, there you go. And with that, qualifying will come to a close here at Indianapolis, and we will now bring you the starting grid here for tonight's Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500. Starting on pole, making his season debut as the fastest man in practice, is also the fastest man in qualifying. It's Rick Ravon and Nate Siefker, the points leader, starting on the front row. Butch Davis and Kieran Brigelli make up row 2. Jeffrey Roulette and Carl Burke in row 3. Michael Sturgill and Chris Simard in the fourth row. Fifth row, we'll see Dan Brazington and Timothy Bates. Sixth row, we'll see William Fletcher and Tony Phillips.
Row 7, we see Raul Alvarez and Ronnie Osmer. Mark Walker and Tyler Vickery roll off in row 8. Row 9, we see Johnny Antonucci and Mark McFadden. Michael Bourne and Ernie Ludwig are going to roll off in row 10, with row 11 going to Jeffrey Bogan and Kevin O'Brien. O'Brien, the last car to actually post a time in qualifying. And then, if I can get my timing and scoring to work right, Charles Woods is going to start next to Yari Brawpatcher in row 12, and starting shotgun on the field all by his lonesome in row number 13, Paul Crumry.
Yeah, it's Jeff Hollingsworth.
And maybe, because Crumry just left the building.
Okay, so we might have 24
starters.
Yep, taking the grid here for this Indianapolis 500. Now, Tony, we were at Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, just prior to the Thanksgiving break with the Western States Racing League. Obviously completely different being in trucks, but we saw that race come down to fuel mileage. This could be a very similar case here. We've seen a lot of Indy 500s, especially recently, thinking back to the Centennial Indy 500 when Alexander Rossi won out of fuel as he crossed the line. This race, I'm sure, has the potential of becoming a fuel mileage race as well.
Absolutely. This is one of those races that you definitely cannot win it in the first lap, but you sure as hell can lose it. Now, these guys do have one fast repair available to them, but the thing is, you're not going to want to burn it right off the rip.
Yeah, no, this is
go ahead.
I was going to say, this is a long night here. Again, 200 laps, a full-length Indianapolis 500 is what we are bringing to you here tonight. Round number 8 of the season. This is the final month of the inaugural season for Sim Racers Edge. Our last race will be on December 30th, with the Christmas week off just prior to that race. So we're getting down to crunch time here. This is a big race to win.
Absolutely. And another thing that's getting down to crunch time is your holiday shopping needs. And for the gearhead in your life, you can definitely get anything you need for the gearhead in your life at diecastnuts.com, our very good friend and sponsor of this broadcast. And also for all your sim peripheral needs. I just crashed my word processor.
All right, so we'll
Burn Racing.
We'll try to get Tony working here as the lights are out on the safety cars. They come through turn number 4, getting set to begin this long event here tonight. Rick Ravon and Nate Siefker will lead them down. Coming to the start-finish line, the flagman has the flag in the air. It is now waving. We are green for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500.
As Ravon and Siefker get it sorted out, Butch Davis looking to the inside on Siefker, has to jam on the binders. That's going to lose him a ton of momentum as he is now falling into the clutches of Kieran Brigelli and Jeffrey Roulette. Everybody's starting to get strung out a little bit. don't look now, but here comes Chris Simard in that nuclear banana, number 77.
Yep, Butch Davis taking a run as well, goes from third to the lead down the back straightaway and takes that lead and holds it going into turn 4. Butch Davis looking to lead the first lap of this Indy 500 and coming to the line. He's going to get a test from Ravon here, but oh my goodness, how close was that?
19 one-thousandths of a second.
Yeah, we need that on the last lap, fellas, as Ravon leads heading through turns 1 and 2, the first half of this circuit. So your top 5 now have sort of settled down. It's Rick Ravon, Butch Davis, Nate Siefker, Chris Simard, and Carl Burke. Those are your top 3 guys, as Siefker, wasting no time, gets right back around Carl Burke to take over that second spot.
And this is proof of how big the draft is here at Indy. I almost said the wrong track. As Siefker makes the move to the inside of Ravon at the stripe, give that one to Siefker by 15 thousandths of a second. He gets the pass clear going into 1. Siefker going to slot in behind him, get the toe down the back straightaway. Chris Simard right now looks like he might be struggling a little bit on corner tree. A little bit of dirty air not being favorable to him as Ravon throws it to the inside as he haul it off into turn number 3.
Yeah, you can see as we ride on board with Butch Davis in this number 43, jumping back out to live cameras now, that you could just see, you mentioned it, Tony, the draft and how incredibly strong that draft is, especially in these cars, as Chris Simard looks to make a move on Butch Davis and will going into turn 1. That's Simard, who sits in second position in their own standings, now sitting in third. But that draft, you really want to take advantage of it going down the back straightaway, because that sets you up perfectly for the run at the start.
Well, the thing is, what we've seen already tonight numerous times is whoever gets the lead going down the back straightaway, if somebody can time the draft just right, they can get a run going to the line coming off of 4. Everybody's working on timing that run right now coming off of 4 to get that run to the line. So it's a drag race, and you've got the nose ahead as Osmer just full send it mode to the inside of Butch Davis, taking the 4 spot away.
Yeah, we saw that there. There is Nate Siefker, who has fallen back to that third position. Ronnie Osmer sitting behind him. So we get another flyby shot of these guys going down the back straightaway. You see there on the bottom of your screen, Mark McFadden hitting pit road early. These guys doing a great job. They know it's 200 laps, minding their P's and Q's right now, but this is not going to be the way this race goes in its entirety.
No, it's definitely not. As Karen Brigelli, who was supposed to start outside row number 2, had a foot, as that is Chris Simard to the point.
We saw that pass for the lead right there with Chris Simard getting around Rick Ravon. This is what happened to Mark McFadden. It's a little bit of a nudge, and then that throws him up into the wall. And that is what will put him out. Did end up stopping on track, as you see, but was able to get it rolling. That is why we did not see the caution flag come out. As back to the lead, Rick Ravon has the lead going on to lap 7.
So right now, as far as your points battle go, Siefker has led a lap, Simard has led a lap. Rick Ravon tonight is just, this is all about winning the inaugural Sim Racers Edge Indianapolis 500. That's the reason Ravon is here. For no other reason than to win this race.
You can see Ronnie Osmer making a move, getting into that second position away from Chris Simard. So these guys are running a fairly drafty line right now. Haven't seen that Indianapolis weave yet, as there goes Osmer right to the race lead.
And there's a reason for that, and that was because during the drivers' meeting, the race control informed all the drivers that if you do the Indy snake, if you will have to do a pass-through penalty. You're allowed one move.
My first question would be to that, is there a lap limit where that gets lifted?
No.
Okay, so you essentially just got to let him go then, and we've seen everybody follow that thus far here tonight. As Rayvon not allowing Osmer to stay in the lead for too long, he is right back up to the point. Rayvon at least, again, fastest driver in practice by 0.3 of a second, only quickest in qualifying by about 0.003 of a second, and showing his muscle here in the very early going.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, Rayvon's, every time we come to Indy in an Indy car, Rayvon's pretty strong. He's one of those guys that has gotten this track figured out. And he's been denied a couple of victories only because he's been caught up in other people's dumpster fires. But, this is one of those races where, with the Indy Snake being outlawed and with the draft playing such a heavy role, it's going to be hard to bet against him should he not, if we can get a good long green flag run and start to get into lap traffic, that's where you're going to determine who's going to really win this race, because the lap traffic is going to play a key factor in this later tonight. Osmer has to chase it down the hill.
Wow, yep, and that's one of those things that's going to happen later on in the run, and Rayvon's in the wall hard. At the exit of turn 4, Rick Rayvon is in the wall and stopped. That should be caution number 1, and it is.
He went high through 3 and 4, not knowing where Osmer was going.
Yep, that was my exact thought.
Osmer had to take the escape road, and Rayvon just got up into the marbles, and that was shades of the last Indianapolis 500 that Dan Weldon won back in 2011.
J.R. Hildebrand.
There you go. J.R. Hildebrand put up in the marbles just like Rayvon did. Different reason, but still, you get up into those marbles going through, the corner here, and you are going to eat the wall. Now, the good news is he does have a fast repair, so he's not out of this thing yet by any stretch of the imagination. And the other good news is Mark McFadden being the first car one lap down, that's going to put him back on the lead lap.
Yes, it is. As we'll go now to a replay. This is on board Ronnie Osmer. You see him making the pass there on Rick Rayvon. Just gets a little bit of a slip on coming through here. And then you can see Rayvon at the very top of your screen going high to avoid, not knowing where he was. And, of course, we will get a better view of the Rayvon incident as up against the wall he goes, just trying to avoid, as you said, Tony, not knowing where Osmer was on track, not knowing where he went. And
he knew where he went. He didn't know if he was going to be able to make the access road, because he didn't know if Osmer was going to be able to get the car slowed down in time, if he was going to shoot through the grass and just clobber him if he tried to make the corner. So you can't really fault Rick Rayvon for going high like that.
You absolutely cannot, as wholesale pit stops are happening again. This is going to be standard operating procedure on the cautions, at least, with no tire limit here for this race here tonight. So under caution number 1 here on lap 12, and a fairly civil incident between Ronnie Osmer, who you see on screen right now, and Rick Rayvon, who is coming out there in that blue and white car there, just off of your screen.
And Timmy Bates staying out, Butch Davis winning the battle off pit road. So already some leapfrogging going on with the pits. Karen Brigelli, the other car to stay out, trying to desperately get one of his laps back. And I believe that's Kevin O'Brien as well up there.
That is. It's Timothy Bates, Kevin O'Brien. And then of the guys that pit, Butch Davis actually winning the race off of pit lane there. And we talked about it last night during the Western States race, that it's not that easy to get an advantage on pit road unless somebody really goes slow into their box or spins the tires really bad coming out of the box. Butch Davis, fastest car into pit road, not quite the fastest stop. Fastest stop went to Ronnie Osborne at 7.88 seconds, but still, by far, the fastest on pit road was Butch Davis, 38.2 seconds there on pit lane. As the field works.
Sorry about that.
Okay. As the field works its way around. About to go back green flag racing here. As again, the order will be Timothy Bates, Kevin O'Brien, Butch Davis, Chris Simard, and Ronnie Osmer. That is your top 5. Carl Burke, Jeffrey Roulette, Michael Sturgill, Nate Siefker, and Dan Brazington round out your top 10 after the first caution of the night, brought out with an incident between Ronnie Osmer and Rick Ravon. Ravon back in after getting his fast repair. He is sitting in the 19th position. Right there on your screen is Mr. Ravon.
Don't expect him to stay there long.
No. But he does.
As the field works its way into the turn 3 complex, Bates is going to have the trigger this time. He's got Kevin O'Brien in tow. It's going to be interesting to see what Bates and O'Brien can do. They usually work pretty well together, but as hungry as Butch Davis is for a win this season, he's been denied a couple of times. Chris Simard looking to get another win on this season, and he needs desperately to get good points if he's going to stay in contact with Nate Siefker, your current points leader.
He certainly is. As they come out of turn 4 here to get this race restarted here, about to take the green flag for the second time tonight. The inaugural race winner, Timothy Bates, leads them down. He's off and running, and this Indianapolis 500 is back under green. And, a big move in the back, and wouldn't you know it, Rick Ravon involved in it.
Big shocker there, as Ravon just not one known to wait around. He's already picked off a handful of cars as he now moves to the back of, I believe that's Johnny Antonucci in front of him.
It is.
So we're about to see New Jersey on New Jersey crime, as both of those boys from the Garden State. And Ravon's not going to be one to sit back in traffic.
No, and Ravon almost running over the back end of Raul Alvarez, who you see there in that old BAR Honda livery from the F1 days. As there goes Ravon on Johnny Antonucci. That would be for the 17th position as we go back up to the front. Kevin O'Brien, a big move there by that looked like Carl Burke in the 53, trying to get around Kevin O'Brien. Butch Davis takes the lead away from Timothy Bates. Bates did not lead that last lap, however. It was Kevin O'Brien that led the first lap back under green flag conditions here.
Kevin's one of the most underrated drivers in this league right now. I'll say it. He's fast everywhere we go. It's just, the connection might not be the best because they're using U.S. servers and he's from Australia.
Yeah, that's certainly not going to help his case, as there you see him
right
on the inside lane, now getting passed up by Nate Siefker. That will move him down into the 9th position. We just saw a battle for the lead, a 4-way battle for the lead. Butch Davis manages to stay in the race lead away from Chris Simard in the 77, and they now have put a little bit of a gap on Timothy Bates and Ronnie Osmer as they're going through. And I'm seeing something here on my my timing and scoring ticker here, as we'll wait on that for a second, as Carl Burke gets around Jeffrey Roulette, and we will take a look at this replay, and this one involves Rick Ravon.
I was about to say, Ravon just...
And that, unfortunately, might end the night of Rick Ravon.
That just did. He just put it on the hauler. Didn't even bother going to pit road, just put it right on the trailer. It looked partially like he had the same thing happen to him that Osmer did, but there may have been some contact there, and yeah, that's a rough one.
Saw the replay there. He was on the bottom of 3 wide going into turn 1, and I think he might have thought he was only side by side because he came right up into the car above him, as now Chris Simard goes for the race lead, and he will take it going into turn 3. By the way, Timothy Bates still able to hold off Ronnie Osmer, as Osmer trying to take the long way around, the dangerous way around, if you know Indianapolis racing. As Davis goes for the lead, Bates and Osmer still side by side. Osmer finally gets to make the move. Look at another incident here early, a little bit further back in the field. This is going to be Tyler Vickery in the number 24. Vickery, just got a little bit of shove, it looked like, from the 84 of Kevin O'Brien. And that has put him down at least a fast repair, as now Jeffrey Roulette makes a move, trying to get around Carl Burke, and you see Butch Davis making a move for the race lead up in the foreground.
So Davis and Simard starting to really stretch their legs now, as Ronnie Osmer starting to fall off just a little bit, as Osmer right now in no man's land, no drafting help from forward or behind, as Carl Burke has fallen off, and he's got to be careful because he's fallen into the clutches of Mike Sturgill, as Sturgill's leading that train of Roulette, Siefker, and Brazington with him.
And Michael Sturgill was at one time a points leader here this season, as you see another battle for the lead right in the foreground there. Sturgill was unfortunately on the losing end of the dead heat tie in the opening race of the season, had another close finish at the second race of the season in Texas, and was able to take the points lead after the third round of the season. So actually I think Road America was second, and then it was Texas. Still, any event, after Texas, Michael Sturgill was able to take that points lead, and with the run of form that Nate Siefker has been on really since Twin Ring Motegi, the fourth round of the season, he has fallen off just a little bit, sitting in third place.
Yeah, but looking to get his form back here at Indianapolis as he gets by Burke, and now sets his sights on trying to reel in Timmy Bates, as these guys, they're getting it, but they're getting it clean. I mean, right now everybody's probably just trying to ride and see what a full fuel run is going to do to the tires here. Going to see what it's going to do to what they're going to need to adjust in the in-car adjustments to make sure that they can keep, these monsters underneath them for the entire 500 miles, as we are now 22 laps in the books.
You're seeing a breakaway of the top 9 cars. That is Dan Brazington at the tail end of this group. Ernie Ludwig, who we haven't seen in a couple of weeks. There's Ernie in the number 26 Tide ride. Ernie Ludwig hasn't been around these last couple of weeks, has made it back here for this Indy 500, leading this second group so far with a top 10 run going.
Absolutely, as he's got Mark Walker and it looks like Jeffrey Bogan in tow with him. So, those guys kind of holding their own right now. The field's starting to get a little strung out, starting to, everybody's got their own pace, and, you're seeing groupings going together. I mean, a little bit further back, you got Raul Alvarez, Johnny Antonucci, and Michael Bourne, kind of hanging out with each other right now, trying to see what they've got, what they don't have. So we've got racing going on throughout the entire field right now.
That's Johnny Antonucci in that monster number 13, trying to get around Raul Alvarez in that BAR Honda Dallara. Right up there in front. It might be, Lucky Strike was the sponsor.
No, you're right. It was
for that
BAR
F1 car
Honda
at that point. Yep. As I believe something might have happened up at the front because, oh, Nate Siefker came into pit lane.
Interesting.
Yep, there he is. There is the points leader, Nate Siefker. This, I would have to assume this is a scheduled stop here. Doesn't appear to be any damage on that number 10.
Seems a little early.
Yeah, it's seeing as though they just came in on lap 11. It's only done 13 laps on that on those set of tires and on that fuel load. So I'm surprised that Nate Siefker has decided to bring it in so early.
And Kevin O'Brien had a throughput, so tough break for our Aussie friend in the 84. He's now back in the sessions, but he's 3 laps down.
He did lead a lap, though, so that will help him in the point standings. So Rick Ravon, Paul Crumry, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Yari Brupatcher are the 4 retirements thus far here in this race. Crumry, Hollingsworth, and Brupatcher, pardon me, not taking the green flag. Ravon, the only race casualty of this event. Butch Davis, there you see him flashing by on your screen. He has Chris Simard right behind him. Ronnie Osmer, and then Michael Sturgill has worked his way up into the 4th position now, as Sturgill, making a move, is up now, the 4th car in that lead quartet.
And this is something we've seen a lot on the ovals. As the tires wear off, as you really need to get up on the wheel, this is where Michael Sturgill starts to shine. You know, the car is now starting to get more ill handling. There's not as much mechanical grip from just the tires alone. Really need to be mindful of your in-car adjustments and how you're handling the throttle. And this is where Michael Sturgill, if this thing stays green, expect Michael Sturgill to continue to march towards the front on older tires. Wow, that was almost bad for Osmer.
As we saw, he got really close. He did make it on fuel in the season opening race. We thought he was able to win that race by staying out so much longer than everybody else and not making a pit stop on that last set of tires. And fortunately for him, he was able to make it. Unfortunately for him, though, he missed it by 10 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker to see, because, you know, when somebody does something like that, I know we're supposed to stay impartial, but you start rooting for a guy at that point. It's like, can he do it? I want to see if he can do this. This is going to be cool. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, like you said, 1/10,000th of a second. So out to the 4th decimal place, he lost by about less than the width of the sole of your shoe.
Yep. And as I'm seeing here, the caution has come out now, as I believe this one is going to be Kieran Bergelli. Now, Bergelli had a throughput right at the start. There you see him on your screen right there. There's he's spinning again.
Wow.
This is not a replay that we're showing here of Kieran Bergelli. This is, oh, wow, almost took out O'Brien there. And you can see how much that car is crab walking, and we're going to show that replay here in just a second. But boy, you can see just how much this car is. Oh boy. Yeah, he's having an issue in that number 98.
Well, there's our first, thank God this is a simulator moment of the night.
We're going to it right now here. Again, just driving alone, and this is, just got up a little wow.
Yeah. Now you know why I had the reaction that I had, because I saw the replay before you did.
Yeah, you did, and a la Scott Dixon and Johnny Antonucci, unfortunately, the recipient of some netcode damage there, as he got clipped by Brigelli. But again, I'm just a la Scott Dixon, what, 3 years ago, 3 years ago?
Something like that.
And that's a very hard hit that Brigelli took. But fortunately, he does have a fast repair in his pocket here for tonight as we have cars entering pit lane.
I don't think he does have one left because I think he burned it earlier. But while we are under caution, Frank, I think it would behoove both of us to talk about the series sponsor, Turn Racing.
I think it would. Why don't you tell the fine folks about Turn Racing since you brought it up?
Well, Turn Racing is merging the gap between sim sport and motorsport with a series of high-quality sim peripherals for the racer who wants to bring their game to the next level. They offer steering wheels based on the real-world designs, but with the functionality that we sim racers need. From full plug-and-play setups for the most common sim rigs to computer-aided design files so you can 3D print your own parts, these guys offer it all. Use the link in the video description below and let them know that Sim Racers Edge sent you so you can show your support for the league. And while we're at it, let's talk about our good friends over at Diecast Nuts. With the holiday season coming up, you're going to want to get that gearhead in your life or petrol head, whatever the colloquialism is in your part of the world. If you have a motorsports fan, diecastnuts.com is where you want to go to get the most awesome gift for your favorite race fanatic. They offer diecast. They offer some custom-made garage signs that you're not going to find anywhere else. So you can find them at diecastnuts.com. Now, mind you, that's diecast nuts with a Z at the end, not an S. Or you can find them on their Facebook page, facebook.com/diecastnuts. There's you link to their shop on both those locations. So check them out.
And the logos, especially for Turn Racing, you've seen up at the top of the timing tower all race long. You've also got the Diecast Nuts logo that's been up in the top right all race long as well. So under caution for just the second time here tonight. Of lap 33 we're working on right now of the 200 we have scheduled here for tonight's event. Butch Davis currently holds the lead. Ronnie Osborne, Michael Sturgill, Carl Burke, and Chris Samard make up the top five after the second round of pit stops here tonight. Jeffrey Roulette, Timothy Bates, Dan Brazington, Mark Walker, and William Fletcher rounding out the top 10 positions as they sit right now. About to go back green flag racing here for the third time tonight. Tony, why don't you bring them down?
As the field works its way down the back straightaway, Butch Davis going to have the button. Ronnie Osmer going to be starting in second. Mike Sturgill up to third. Carl Burke in fourth. Chris Samard rounding out your top five. Then you have Jeffrey Roulette, Tim Bates, Dan Brazington, Mark Walker, and Will Fletcher. So we are 32 laps in the books. They're going to restart on lap 34. So these guys have gotten a good idea of what the fuel run is going to do to the handling of the car. And these guys are versed enough to figure out what adjustments they're going to need to make moving forward. Hopefully everybody remembered to reset their weight jackers when they put fuel and new tires in the car, or else this is going to be a very fun restart. As the field works its way out of the turn 4 complex, pace car makes that hard left turn onto pit road. Davis holds them down as everybody's starting to stack up. Raul Alvarez hanging back, way back, was hoping to get a run, didn't time it right. Davis pulls the trigger. We are back underway.
Yeah, but you can see that white car that was stuck out at the back of the field. That was Raul Alvarez. There he is in the number 9. Stuffing up the back end of that group as Mark McFadden and Charles Woods had to woe up behind them. That's Michael Bourne in the number 19 in front of him. I believe this is the first time this season we are seeing the driver of the 19, Michael Bourne.
I believe you're right.
We've
got a battle for the lead heating up right now as Davis and Osmer in lockstep coming out of turn number 4. Osmer going to try to cross over coming down the front straightaway. And drag race to the stripe. Give that one to Davis.
Side by side for the first 4 positions now as Osmer has that preferred line and will take the lead through 1 and 2. Sturgill has to fall back. He's down to 4th. Carl Burke and Jeffrey Roulette sitting there waiting as Butch Davis, once again, he wants the lead of this race. He's shown that from the very beginning, and Butch Davis will take it going through 3 and 4. Osmer, though, might be able to hang it out there on that outside line. He now needs to defend from Chris Simard, and he won't quite get him clear. Yes, he does.
As Osmer was thinking about throwing the block, thought better of it, knows that it's way too early to do that. So give another lap to Davis as Simard throws it to the inside going into turn 1 and 2. Coming out of 2, Simard slips up a little bit, has to climb on the binders to stay off of Osmer. That's going to kill all of his momentum down the back straightaway.
There was a big moment there for Michael Sturgill. Almost hit the wall coming out of turn 2, was able to jink off of it and make it stick, as there is, again, the battle for the lead between the top 3 drivers, Butch Davis, Ronnie Osmer, and Chris Simard, as they come to the line. Boy, I love this long shot down the front straightaway. I'm so glad I decided to keep it in.
It's a beautiful shot, especially you can see what the guys are doing going down the front straightaway. And, these guys, they're racing hard, but they're racing clean, and that's what you love to see. It. Nobody's doing anything crazy. Nobody's throwing any weird blocks. Butch Davis is protecting that inside line, and I can't say I blame him because that's where the passes are made.
And going into this week, now granted it is a simulator and you can test whenever you want, however long you want to test. The IndyCar Oval Series, official series, was just here this past week. So a couple of days removed from running that from that fixed IndyCar series. And it was actually back in, I believe it was May, is when they ran the virtual Indy 500s here. So these guys have had quite a break between long races at Indianapolis, but racing in Indianapolis in these cars, could have done it as much as you wanted last week.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the beauty of wow.
Boy, Osmer getting up close and personal with that wall.
So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, that's the beauty of the iRacing server, is there's races going on 24 hours a day. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, too, is the Sim Racers Edge admin committee put up for the last week, except for Thanksgiving night, they had 6-hour practice sessions with the setup that's going to be in the car, with the tire pressures, with the fuel load, with every possible portion of what this server is set up be. They had open practice so these guys could test the setup, and get used to what
Osmer caught the wall there. Sorry to cut you off there, but we were riding on board with Ronnie Osmer, and he did catch the wall coming out of turn 1. That's caused the drivers behind him
He's got to go pit side.
Stagger, and yeah, you could see that car crab walking right now. That was a bad hit from the 55 of Ronnie Osmer. We've seen it a couple times, him getting really close. You can see how left hand down that attitude is on that car.
And he is, wow.
Oh, losing it. Hold on to it, Ronnie. There you go. Good
Get
lad.
it in there. All right.
Good lad.
Wow. That could have ended poorly. But heads up driving by everyone else that's left in this race. Good job all around for everybody to not get collected in that. But the good news is he has his fast repairs. There goes the side pod back into its location that it should be in. He's going to get 4 Mr. Feelgoods and a fresh tank of Go Fast, and he's back down and away. No, he's going to lose a lap because here comes Butch Davis and Chris Simard they're over a second to the good right now over Michael Sturgill. And again, Sturgill kind of in no man's land as he's got 3/4 of a second on Carl Burke. So that's your top 4. And then you're another almost half a second back to Jeffrey Roulette, who rolls down the number 5 slot.
So you see Osmer comes back in relatively in the same spot where he was on track prior to the incident. Also, while we were focusing on Osmer, Tony Phillips, we haven't spoken about, had a little bit of an incident as well. Got loose coming out of turn 1, had to take it to the escape road. Everything all fine.
And he has put it on the hauler.
Well, everything was all fine for him at least. As there you see that one car there dumping down towards the inside line. That is Kieran Brigelli. Brigelli, we just saw him get passed by the leaders. He took to the access road down in 3 and 4. Kieran Brigelli is, I believe, 14 laps down now?
That's what I got him at.
After the incidences that he has had tonight and getting off to that bad start with the early throughput. So there's that.
Absolutely. As you kind of wonder what could have been, because Brigelli's strong everywhere we go. It's the little mistakes. Putting a half a tire into the marbles and up the track into the wall you go, or misjudging.
Only once of the last 4 races we've seen.
If it wasn't for bad luck, Kieran Brigelli probably wouldn't have any luck at all. And if he... Hello?
Apologize there. Your audio cut out there. I'm sorry for stepping over you there.
No, I probably went to a 4-digit ping. I thought it was Brigelli, but it was probably me.
I think
anyways, it was probably me.
We've only seen Brigelli once in the last three races we've run here. He was supposed to run at Mid-Ohio and then had stepped down to do race control for that race. He raced at Phoenix to, I believe, a less than stellar, boy, he got close, than stellar finish there and missed the Indianapolis Grand Prix last week, 2 weeks ago, prior to the Thanksgiving break.
But he had a good excuse for that one. He was actually racing cage carts in the real world that week.
Sounds a little bit more fun.
Sounds a lot bit more fun. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Chris Simard, as I say that, Butch Davis starts to reel him back in. Chris Simard was out to a half-second gap at one point as him and Davis starting to really stretch their legs. Mike Sturgill trying to keep him honest, as Sturgill now has to worry about...
It's Raul Alvarez behind him, so 2 lappers behind him between himself and Carl Burke. There's about a second and a half between Sturgill and Burke.
Yeah, so, Burke probably not having the run he was hoping for at this point in time, but trying to keep that car clean. We've seen speed out of the 53, just trying to keep it clean, to keep it towards the end, as we are closing in on the quarter mark.
Yes, we are, as Butch Davis takes the lead back from Chris Simard. So Simard might actually have put his car in a little lower of a fuel mode to try to save a little bit of fuel here. As the leader, you hear it all the time as the leader here at Indianapolis, you run out of fuel a lot quicker than the guys who are trying or fuel saving behind you being in the draft. So Samard probably thought, you know what, this is good as I'm going to get right now. Let me move back and try to save a little bit of fuel.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, being the lead dog, you're punching the hole in the air, whereas everybody else is going into the hole that you've already punched. So they can already run less throttle position to keep with you. But with as weird of a hole as these Indy cars punch with the new windscreen, you can also dial it back from, setting 1. You could probably get away with like 3 or 4 if you're, brave enough to do it. And that's probably what Samard's doing right now, as he's, I dare say, about 15, 20 miles an hour slower right now than he was in qualifying, as Davis goes down to protect that might be questionable.
We brought it up here earlier in the broadcast. The Indy Snake has been outlawed for this race. I mean, see, if I were race control now, as we see Butch Davis kind of doing it again, if I'm race control, I'm kind of letting it go, because Davis has almost a 1-second lead now on Chris Samard, who's really not putting anybody else around him in danger. As boy, we just saw Samard and Sturgill. If they didn't hit the wall, they got paper close to it. But when you're not...
You mean Sturgill and Osmer?
No, Samard in front of him had a close encounter with the wall coming out of turn 1. But as I was saying, Davis really isn't, by doing this Indy Snake, which you see again, he's really not putting any other driver in danger. He's 1.2 seconds up the road from his nearest competitor, lead lap or not. So I'd let it slide, because there's really nobody around him to harm.
No, you're right, and it's kind of when you first learn how to drive this track. That's one of the things that they tell you is, as you're going down the front straightaway and the back straightaway, get away from the wall to let the air move around the car. And that's really all he's doing at point. It's not like he's, weaving 2 or 3 times. He's coming out of turn 2 and out of turn 4, making a move down back the inside, comes back up to make the corner, and that's it. Which they said that's okay. If he made another swerve, that would be the air quote Indy Snake. So they're getting racy behind him.
Yeah, just take a look here. Chris Samard going down into turn 3, tops out at 220. And we're going to do the same thing here now with Butch Davis to see what he gets to going down the back straightaway. And this could definitely allude to a different fuel map that these guys could be in. See, Davis is already at 121, 122, just barely clips 123 going into turn 1. So Samard must be on a different fuel map to try to save some fuel than Butch Davis is, because Davis has pulled out to 2.5 seconds over the 77.
He is, because there was a 3 mile an hour difference between Davis and Samard going into 1. So, the other thing, too, is Samard might be cracking the throttle a little bit to try to save the tires as well, because, you take a look at the track conditions right now, 121 degrees on track. That's greasy.
Yeah, that is incredibly hot, as you see on your screen right there. Your track temperature down at the bottom, 121 degrees. Of track temperature. It's only 78 degrees ambient, but these cars create a lot of heat with how much force they're putting down on this track. These guys are pretty much glued to this surface. And when incidents like what happened with Ronnie Osmer happen, it shocks you. It wakes you up. It lets you know.
Oh, absolutely, because this track can very easily lull you into a false sense of security. And it's very easy to lose where you are on track, too. aside from the grandstand on the front straightaway, it's very easy to, especially when you're going into two and into four. It's like, okay, which one am I going into? And if that happens, it could end disastrously.
Certainly could, as Michael Sturgill has fallen off of Chris Simard by a little bit, now falling into the clutches of Carl Burke. There's quite a decent gap here between a lot of these drivers, and this is typically what we see here on these long runs at Indianapolis. We're on, a 24-lap run at this point into this race, and Burke finally getting around Raul Alvarez might have a shot at Michael Sturgeon here before too long, as I think Osmer might have just caught that wall again.
Safe bet with the way the right side of that car looks.
You can still see how much he's wiggling.
Yeah, he's not having a good night at all.
And that's, again, all these guys are running the same exact set. You can just see the wiggles coming out of 1 and 3 especially. 2 and 4 isn't that bad. But 1 and 3, could that be a case of, again, all these guys running the same setup? Possibly a case of just going too far on either the weight jacker or one of the anti-roll bars, as he is really fighting that number 55.
That's exactly what it is. It's the same spring package. It's the same shock package. It's the same tire pressures. It's the same wing angles. It's the same cross weight. And then they give you the in-car adjustments and you dial yourself out of the race. It's very easy to do.
It's not necessarily a wind issue, because we saw in the weather graphic only 2-mile-an-hour winds right now. And oh, there he goes. He touches it again. We're riding on board with Ronnie Osmer, and he's just having a mare of a time with this car. And this, I mean, there's only so much you can fix as far as a tow issue on pit road. And after that last incident, we knew he used a fast repair. So he's in a world of trouble right now.
Yeah, he's definitely on the back foot. And next time he does bring that car to pit road, they might not let him go right off the rip. I guarantee you he's got required repairs. As I was about to say, there was a battle heating up for 5th between Roulette and Bates. But it looks like Bates has fallen back just a little bit. And don't look now, there's blood in the water, because Nate Siefker is back into the top 10.
There is Nate Siefker. You see him right at the very top of your screen there. That black and pink number 10 that has gone to victory lane in each of the last 3 races in this season. He won back at Mid-Ohio. He won his first oval race of the season at Phoenix and has continued to sweep the road courses after winning at the Indianapolis road course last week, as pit cycle is beginning here for these guys. So what, about just under 30 laps for some of these guys? Sturgill and Carl Burke, 2 of the guys that are in.
Teammates. So they're looking to work together to, make sure they've got drafting help and, work with each other to at least try to stay on the lead lap. Whether or not that's going to actually work for them, that's a different story. As Burke down and away, Sturgill down and away, and there goes Butch Davis to put them both a lap down.
I was just about to say, we talk all year long about watching guys that you're racing around come into pit road and that kind of pulling the rest of the field into the lane. I can't imagine that we're too many laps away from seeing Simard and Davis come in, as we look up to Butch Davis here, who goes through the 3-4 complex here at Indianapolis. Will he come into the pits this time? Yes, he does. Yep. Leader in.
You could tell on his exit speed, because
Simard as well.
Yeah, you could tell by their exit speed coming through 4. They weren't trying to get on the throttle to blast down the front straightaway anymore. So Roulette's in, Bates stays out and gets the lead back. But Timmy Bates is one of those guys that he'll make a game plan at the beginning of the race. I'm going to pit here, 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 and here, and I don't care what the hell else happens. So, the one thing we do care about what happens is, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see a graphic flash up on the screen periodically up in the top right corner that says "Get well soon, Chris."
It's up there right now.
As our fearless leader for Sim Racers Edge, the last we knew was in the hospital. Hopefully, he's watching this broadcast tonight with a smile on his face, looking at the battling going on and the great racing action that his guys are bringing to the masses. And Chris Walker, if you're listening, get well, my friend, and we're looking forward to seeing you back on the track with us real soon.
Yeah, we're coming to the realization, unfortunately, where he probably will not be back racing with us for the remainder of this season, but hopefully I would shudder to think it would be the start of the next season, since the next season starts essentially right after this season, as Bates finally brings it in from the race lead. This should, in theory, Brazington is in as well. This will gift Tyler Vickery the race lead here, as he's got Mark McFadden right behind him. McFadden not for position as far as Tyler Vickery is concerned. But we're pretty sure that he's not going to run the rest of this season. May miss the start of next season, but we certainly do hope that we see Chris Walker here before too long, because it's noticeable him not being on track.
Absolutely. And this series was basically his brainchild. He was the driving force behind Sim Racers Edge. And I don't know about you, Frank, but I feel honored to be able to continue to broadcast, with him missing, hoping that, maybe he's able to watch the broadcast while he's recovering in the hospital.
And the race 2 weeks ago was dedicated to him, seeing one of his team cars, one of the Voodoo Racing team drivers, in Nate Siefker, winning the race last week, 2 weeks ago at the road course here at Indianapolis. So it's been tough, but it's also nice to see one of his team cars win immediately after his accident.
Absolutely. With Tyler Vickery coming in, that gives the lead back to Butch Davis, who has a 5-second gap back to Chris Simard right now. That's nothing short of miraculous.
No, it is a 5.5 second gap back to Chris Simard. About a little bit more than half of these long straightaways here at Indianapolis. As we begin lap 67 here, just coming out of the pit cycle, we will take a quick break and be right back for more of the first Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500 right here on ESPN. Don't go away. You are watching the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500 here on ESPN on YouTube, on ESPN on Facebook, and on the iRacing Live portal here tonight. Frank Marchese and Tony Trapasso in the booth for you here as we're getting closer and closer to halfway here. Butch Davis leading by 7.3 seconds over Chris Simard, and this battle for the final spot on the podium, it is Michael Sturgill, Jeffrey Roulette, and Nate Seeker as they start getting a little bit closer to each other. Carl Burke and Timothy Bates as well, who you see on screen right now. Bates in the car in the foreground. Burke in the car in the foreground. Bates in the purple and green machine. The second car from the top of your screen there with Ronnie Osmer a couple of laps down in between them. And Tony, couple of early accidents. We've seen two race retirements, because of incidences. Couple of retirements due to connection issues. But all in all, it's been a very, very good night here for the first half of this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's been eventful, but it hasn't been... we've seen a lot worse. And I got to commend these guys. When things have gone sideways, everybody has so far been heads up and trying to avoid getting caught up in the incident. So, good on everybody for being able to do that. But right now, the field kind of getting a little strung out. The battle for third starting to heat up as Jeffrey Roulette starting to reel in Michael Sturgill.
Yep, those are the three guys you're seeing on your screen right now. Michael Sturgill at the front of the field, Jeffrey Roulette in the middle, Nate Seeker at the back. Now, Nate Seeker came in a lot earlier than the rest of the field, and I don't remember seeing him. Oh, no, that was before the caution came out. Never mind, he got back on cycle. So Seeker has put himself in the back, essentially, and now is trying to race his way forward 11 and a half seconds behind the race lead at this point, and Butch Davis continues to grow that advantage now 8 seconds over Chris Simard running in second position.
Saying Butch Davis is hungry for a win would be like saying, I have trouble walking. And for those of you who don't know, I am in a wheelchair. So that's how hungry Butch Davis is right now for a win, especially to win the inaugural Sim Racers Edge Indianapolis 500. So, he's doing everything he can. He's been hitting his marks on pit road. He's been hitting his marks on track. Been mindful when he gets to a lap car. Okay, where's this guy going? Butch Davis, he's driving fast but cautiously right now as Sturgill puts Carl Burke a lap down?
No, it's still showing Carl Burke in sixth position. No, that might be... I'm not sure who that would have been. But we're
Charlie Woods. I'm sorry.
Yep, there's Charlie Woods. Yep, there he goes.
Very similar cars, so sorry about that, folks.
You're seeing him on screen right now as we watch off the back end of Jeffrey Roulette's number 66 Dallara. Back at Nate Seeker, who is trying to take that position away. These guys have gotten closer and closer over the course of the break and really over these last 10 laps. Seeker has gotten a lot closer to Roulette than Roulette has gotten to Sturgill at this point, as Sturgill now starting to break away just a little bit from these two. Really haven't put on much of a battle, have these two, Roulette and Seeker, but Sturgill now starting to turn up the wick and move away.
Absolutely, and it's one of those deals where most of the time when you see that black and pink car in your rearview mirrors, you start to get worried. It's like, okay, I'm done for at this point, because it's normally like, blood in the water and you're chumming for sharks. But Seeker, not the dominance that we've seen at other facilities so far here at the 2.5 mile, Indianapolis Oval. So, who's going to be the one to break Seeker's streak? Is he's coming into tonight 3 in a row.
He's won 3 in a row, and I believe 4 of 5
Yes.
has Nate Seifker. And again, we spoke about it earlier in the broadcast that Seifker has won all of the road course races. There's only one road course race left on the schedule. That's Watkins Glen next week. The only oval race that he has won so far has been the very difficult to drive Phoenix Raceway. And that's really, you kind of have to drive that circuit like a road course, as we saw Roulette get passed now by Seifker. Seifker up into 4th.
Absolutely. And while we're talking about road racing, have you happened to see the 2021 Cup Series calendar for the Tin Top Stock Car Series that is so big in the United States?
I have, and there are a couple of...
There's 6 road course races for points.
Yeah, I have
6.
a couple of objections on that schedule. Number one, I think the Daytona Road Course I think is fine. Get rid of that stupid chicane. I understand why they have it there. They don't want cars going 200 miles an hour into a heavy braking zone, especially those heavy cars. But let's talk about COTA for a second. Circuit
Do
of
we
the Americas.
have to?
That is going to be I'm expecting that to be an absolutely garbage race. And they're not even running the shortened circuit that takes out half of the S's, that takes out the hairpin the top of the track.
That'd be too easy.
Exactly. It takes out half of that long straightaway into a heavy braking zone. But it just blows my mind that they're going to run that full track. It's going to be a disaster.
It's going to be a disaster, but here's why I bring this up. I'm thinking of starting a GoFundMe.
For the teams that are going to need new parts?
No.
Oh, okay.
A GoFundMe. I'd like to see what Seifker could do in a Cup car this coming season. With the prowess that he has on a road course, I'd love to see what would happen.
Now, I'm missing the last 2. I can't think of the last 2 off the top of my head. I know they're going to the Daytona Road Course. They're going to COTA, and then obviously the two staples of Watkins Glen and Sonoma. I can't think of the other 2 though.
Right. Well, they're going to run the Roval.
Okay, that would be obviously. So the last one, I think
they've done away with running the oval at Indy. They're going to run the Indy Road Course
because Xfinity had one good race there. Now they're going to. Okay, I get it.
And hold on, and I will pull up the 2021 schedule.
I will say there is something rather entertaining as we watch Timothy Bates get around Ronnie Osmer. Now, that is not for position. Osmer, if you're just joining us, has had an absolute mare of an evening. I believe it was around lap 50 or so when Ronnie Osmer hit the wall, ended up really breaking that car, forced to take his fast repair, and has since hit the wall again, knocking that car out of alignment. He right now sits in the 15th position. I believe one lap down is that number 55 of Ronnie Osmer. And he was running right up towards the front. He's now the first car off of the lead lap in 14th as he gets past Michael Bourne, who is in pit lane at the moment. And he just about hits the wall again.
Okay, so I've got the schedule pulled up. So they're going to open it with the Clash on the road course.
That was announced last year, I believe.
Right. And then the next road course they go to is, well, they're going to put Clay over Bristol in the spring. I'm sorry, Bristol has gotten snow in March before. You can't lay clay in the wintertime. I'm sorry.
It's amazing. You know something is going wrong with your sport, and I hope I'm not stepping out of line here being on the iRacing portal. But you know something is fundamentally wrong with your sport when you have to gimmick up one of the more entertaining half-mile racetracks that you go to on the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it's. They
But
did it back in the '90s. I liked it, except there was just way too much dust for the television broadcast. So we're going to see what they do to fix that this time.
it just feels like
So
putting a hat on a hat, essentially.
that I would say hat on a pig, but anyways. Um, so then they go to Circuit of the Americas on the 23rd of May. Then they go into the Coke 600. Then immediately after the Coke 600, one of the most grueling races on the calendar. They go to Sonoma and the Sears Point Raceway, whatever you want to refer to it as. Then from there, it's Watkins Glen and Indianapolis, back-to-back road courses. And I know I'm missing one. Where the hell did it go?
Dakota.
I'm sorry. Road America on 4th of July.
Road America or Coda?
Road America on 4th of July. Coda is the week before Memorial Day.
So the Daytona road course is not a
points-paying race.
Is not a points race. Okay. I was under the assumption that they were running a points race there, but they've run at Road America for the last couple of years in the Xfinity Series, so I'm not surprised that they would try it. They would try that in the Cup Series. While we were going on about the schedule, we showed you the pass for third position there between Nate Siefker and Michael Sturgill. Now you saw a visual representation of the gap between Chris Simard and Nate Siefker. I'm sure we'll see that if we get the long shot again here down the front straightaway, which we do not, unfortunately. But Siefker has really been on a charge. He's closed up about 2 seconds from where he was coming off of the pit stop to Butch Davis, who still leads by 8 seconds over Chris Simard.
But getting back to my initial premise, I'm going to start a GoFundMe to get Nate Siefker a Cup ride for the 2021 season, at least on the road course. At least on the road courses.
It's amazing to see what he could do with his sim. I would love to see what he could do. Now, again, I've only seen him in an IndyCar, and he's absolutely incredible. Now,
I've raced with him in an endurance race.
I was just going to say, I was told about the success that he had at the 24 Hours of Spa race that we ran a couple of months ago as pit cycle has started. Chris Simard, Michael Sturgill in pit road. So Simard pitting from second spot. About, what do you say? Maybe 30 or so laps on a tank of fuel. That's about expected to what we're used to getting here. And if you do the maths properly, expecting this race to go green, that's pit stops on lap 120, 150, 180. So this doesn't look like, if it stays green at least, it doesn't look like this is going to turn down into a fuel mileage race.
Right, but Davis stays out, Siefker comes in. So Siefker and Simard both looking to get the undercut. But here's the thing. Davis still with the wick turned up. It's 228 going into turn 3.
Yeah, so he's flying. This might be an in lap for him then if he's going that hard late, and it is an in lap as the race leader brings it down into pit road, and barring a pit stop from this man, Jeffrey Roulette, who's the first of the two orange cars. Jeffrey Roulette would inherit the race lead. However, he is coming in. Timothy Bates in third. He stayed out longer on the last run, and the caution is out. I believe that is Ernie Ludwig in the 26. There he is in pit road, missing a front wing. So we will go now to see what happened to Ernie Ludwig. And Ludwig, plows the wall hard. coming out of turn one. And as you mentioned, J.R. Hildebrand earlier in this race, it's exactly what happened.
And there's no safer barrier where he hit either. That's another one of those, thank God this is a simulator moments, because oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a hard hit. So with that caution coming out when it does, that will give this man, Timothy Bates, the race lead. They're still at around half pace right now, trying to catch up to the safety car at this point here. So our third caution, of the night, coming just prior to the halfway point at lap 94, and a good 66 lap run or so with these guys almost getting through 2 full pit cycles, and that incident really had nothing to do with pit entry or exit.
No, that was just a driver being mindful that there was cars coming out of pit road, and just missed his turn in going into one, and got into the marbles and ate the concrete wall in between turns 1 and 2.
Now, even though they have not caught up to the safety car, somebody in the back there having an issue. That's Charles Woods in the back that we saw spinning in the number 40. Let's take a look at that really quick while this pit cycle's happening.
Looks like he may have had some help.
Unfortunately, we're not going to get the camera angle here for this. Oh, there he comes. Oh, yeah, he did. He certainly did get bumped in the back there. Let's see if we can see this again here. Who is that coming up behind him? Would that be
Mark Walker?
Yep, that's Mark Walker. And there's that shove, and such a narrow pit entry. And you can see where the cones are that start pit lane. They're inside that wall. So if you get 2 guys coming in at a good pace under green flag conditions, that's an incredibly dangerous pit entry, and that's one of the key things that people always talk about here at Indianapolis.
Well, here's the thing: is if you run in the tin top stock cars, the cones are at the end of the wall.
Yep.
In the Indy cars, they put the cones in about 20 feet. So what it looked like happened is the car that was in front of Charlie was going slower than it needed to be going. Charlie checks up, and the car behind him didn't, and that's basically all that happened there.
Yeah, we got that overhead view there that we showed that replay. There's Butch Davis up at the front of this pack here. As of right now, Carl Burke, who is in pit road right now in 5th position, is the last car on the lead lap. So Butch Davis now and company getting the wave around here to get back on the lead lap after pitting. So your effective race leader here is the driver of the number 6 right here, Timothy Bates, with Tyler Vickery in 2nd, Mark Walker in 3rd, Will Fletcher in 4th, Carl Burke in 5th. As we get set to go green here this time, nope, they have canceled. They've called off the restart because it's going to take these guys a while to get around here.
Yeah, they've got to get up to speed and then back around and caught back up, and it's not the easiest thing to do, especially with the way iRacing does wave arounds. The pace car, you have to wait for the lights to actually go out on the pace car, which happens about 100 yards past the start-finish line. Then it starts releasing cars one at a time. And, so we are still waiting for Davis, Roulette, Sturgill, Siefker, Samard, Bogan, Brazington, and McFadden to all get caught up to the tail end of the field.
Now, I think because these guys were still behind the safety car, or at least in some sort of proximity to the safety car when this restart was called off, Brazington and Antonucci were forced to go back behind the safety car and are not allowed to get their wave around until the lights extinguish on top of that Ford Mustang safety car this time by. So those guys might be up to speed by the time this race gets restarted, as there go the lights on the safety car. And
there
there
goes
go
Brazington, and there goes...
Antonucci.
Now, if Brazington times this right, he can cold trickle the field.
Yeah, he very well could. So...
But Timmy Bates in the number 6 going to have the button when we go back to green as the field works its way through the short chute in the north end of the speedway. Bates, Vickery, Walker, Fletcher, Davis looks like Osmer is up in there.
Yeah, but not on the lead lap. I'm sure he's going to be forced to restart on the inside, if not drop to the back here.
I think he's going to be forced to drop to the back, but he hasn't dropped back yet, and I don't know what's... It should have told him to drop back before now.
Raul Alvarez having an issue with the way back end of the screen there, goes all the way down to the inside pit wall, actually pulls over and stops. I'm sorry there, Tony, and the driver of the number 9 has pulled off outside of turn 2 and has halted and has dropped, apparently. So there's some intrigue right there.
Absolutely, as they're already telling Jeffrey Roulette that the sim popped him because he was at the commitment cone, already inside the pit wall when the yellow flag came out. He had no way to wave off and not go down pit road at that point. So race control telling him that they are going to clear his black flag if it persists when they go back to green.
Didn't even realize that he had a white flag. In any event, though, this race has restarted here, working lap 98 of 200, just about at the halfway point. And this group right here, 5 cars in this group racing for position. The 55, however, is not. So Bates, Vickery, Walker, Fletcher, and Davis. Actually, I'm not even sure if that's right because I don't see Davis in that group.
Yeah, he is. He's running 5th.
In the front
group?
Oh,
no, I'm sorry. He's back there with, I believe that's Jeffrey Roulette right behind him. Okay, no, it's not.
So there were a couple of issues here with this race start, as there is Timothy Bates leading this race. The second car, the car behind him, is Tyler Vickery. That is for position. There is Will Fletcher on the
Why
inside.
Why is Chris Samard being scored a lap down?
I'm not. That's what threw me off. Is I thought Samard he should have gotten his wave around. No. Because boy, oh boy, Walker and Fletcher get close to hitting each other. There's Fletcher on the inside lane, just got passed by Chris Samard. Mark Walker in that red, white, and blue number 100, sitting in the 3rd position right now. The guys around him right now, 1 lap down, Osmer and Samard. Just something happened on that start. I'm not quite sure.
Well, here's the thing. Osmer and Samard, that is your battle for the next Lucky Dog.
Yes, it is. And those are the only 2 cars that are 1 lap down at the moment. As Timothy Bates comes out of corner number 4, trying to break the draft as much as he can from Tyler Vickery, leads the Centennial lap. We're into the second half of this race officially, as the battle for 3rd and the battle for the Lucky Dog as well, moving up in the same run.
Absolutely. As Nate Siefker on a charge right now, desperately trying to get back to the top 5, as he's already worked around Sturgill and Burke, as those 2 guys in lockstep right now, sitting 7th and 8th, as looks like the teammates trying to keep pace with Nate Siefker, not going to be able to do it this lap, as Looks like Sturgill got by Burke to try to lead that little freight train. Meanwhile, back up in the front, the battle for that lucky dog position still rages on as Bates continues to show the way. Vickery sits in second, about 2 car lengths back, and Mark Walker has fallen off dramatically.
But Walker has gotten himself clear of that lucky dog battle, which you see right here in the middle of your screen. It is the 55 of Ronnie Osmer has it. The 77 of Chris Simard wants it. And there are points implications here on the line for Chris Simard, as Simard sitting in second position in points. 24 points off of Nate Siefker with only 3 races to go after tonight. He does have a little bit of a gap, though, a 33-point gap to the driver who currently sits behind him right now, the 4th place runner, Butch Davis.
And, Davis has got to turn the wick up again. We've seen him towards the front all night long. Now he's mired back in traffic, and he's kind of fallen off the pace. Did not get the restart he needed, as he's now clawed onto the back of that battle for the lucky dog position. And he's got, I believe that's Raul. No, that's not.
So see, there goes Chris Simard for that lucky dog spot as we ride on board with the 43 of Butch Davis. And if I were Simard, there's 2 ways that he could have played that. One, just wait for Siefker to get loose, not Siefker, Osmer to get a little wild again, because we've seen that on older tires now. The last 2 stints on older tires, Ronnie Osmer has had a lot of bad luck with his car getting out of control on those older tires. Or do you just get around him and try to put as much distance as you can on him? And Simard chose the latter.
Well, here's the problem. If you do that with Ronnie Osmer, you might end up with a race car to the face.
Yeah.
So Simard not wanting to stick around and find out.
William Fletcher getting around him now in that number 37. We saw William Fletcher last night in the Western States Racing League race at Kansas. Didn't fare too bad. I believe he got a top 15 finish out of that last night, if my memory serves me correctly.
He did.
Yep. So Fletcher trying to keep that momentum going, looking for a top 5 in the inaugural Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indy 500.
Yeah, right now we've got 12 cars left on the lead lap, because that green flag pit stop cycle really put a lot of guys behind the 8 ball.
And that was, again, still close to the point, but you can make it from the rest of the way on 2 more stops here is what we are expecting out of this group. However, Bates, Vickery, Walker, and Fletcher did not pit under that last caution. Here's another guy we haven't talked about at all here tonight. That is the black and green machine, currently sitting in the 9th position right now, of Jeffrey Bogan. Now, Bogan's had a very quiet season, has spent a lot of his time in the middle of the pack, but he's got himself some very solid points races out of that, and is currently sitting up here in the top 10 right now, running in 9th.
Bogan's one of those drivers that I like to call a ninja, because we don't talk a lot about him, because he doesn't race overly aggressive. He doesn't do anything crazy. But at the end of the race, you look and go, where the heck did he come from? That's the type of driver that Bogan is. And he's not flashy, but he gets results. He's had a lot of top 10s this season.
And another guy we usually see in that same light is the driver of the number 22 of Mark McFadden. McFadden, I believe, also taking part in that Western States race last night.
He was.
See him a couple of times on our on the network, and again, just another solid gentleman driver, I guess you could say, is the number 22 of Mark McFadden.
Yeah, McFadden's definitely one of those ones that would fall into the ninja category. The other one, the New Jersey ninja, Johnny Antonucci, um, he got caught up in a little bit of a dumpster fire earlier, somebody else's dumpster fire, sent him to the back, currently sitting 2 laps down in the number 16 slot. But, if he doesn't get caught up in someone else's mistake, he's usually on the lead lap in the, top 15 week in and week out, just slugging away with a clean race car.
And Jeffrey Roulette, you see on screen right there, finished on the podium last week at the road course here at Indianapolis, taking over that 9th position away from Jeffrey Bogan. That is Michael Bourne in front of him in the number 19. As a little bit earlier on, just a couple of laps ago, Butch Davis getting past Mark Walker, heading down into turn number 3. That was for the 3rd position. There is the pass right there. Pretty academic from what we've seen all night long here. Get that run going down the back straightaway and then make the move heading into the corner.
Absolutely. And right now, if you're Chris Simard, you're praying for a caution.
And looking a little bit further back now, still in this group, Bogan and McFadden starting to get closer to each other as Michael Bourne has been sent to the back of this group here. And you can see another one who we don't usually talk about. There's Dan Brazington right there in the number 29. Got the wave around after being trapped a lap down under the last caution. Dan Brazington having a very solid night here at Indianapolis.
And that's the type of driver he is. He's consistent, solid. He's going to bring the car home in one piece. Not going to be overly aggressive. But Dan Brazington is one of those guys that knows how to get the job done and save his equipment.
And Dan, I apologize. I just now saw your message in TeamSpeak. I hope deliveries are the correct ones, the ones that you're expecting to see on the cars tonight. If not, I sincerely apologize. I just now saw the message.
You see it in red and black with voodoo on it?
Yes, I am seeing red and black, yes, on Brazington's car.
Then if that's what you're seeing and that's what I'm seeing, then if that's not what's supposed to be on the car, blame trading paints.
That would certainly be the case. We'll look now up at another Butch Davis pass here. This is on Tyler Vickery for 2nd. Gets side by side with him at the start-finish line. And once again, pretty academic. Going into and out of turn 1. As the driver of the 43, Butch Davis, has had the car to beat tonight after Rick Ravon put it on the shelf after about 20 laps in this race. Davis has had the car to beat and has certainly not had an issue showing it. Has led a vast majority of the first half of this race, looking to get back up into the lead here for the second half.
And this just in from the driver you just mentioned, Rick Ravon saying, Butch Davis for the win, I guarantee it.
Well, it's a pretty safe bet from what we have seen here tonight. But then again, anything can happen. And we will continue to bring you the first ever Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500. After we take a quick breather, we will be right back here working lap 115 of 200. Don't go anywhere. You are watching the first Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500 here on ESPN. We thank you very much for watching wherever you are. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us on Facebook, or if you're watching us on the iRacing Live portal, we thank you so incredibly much for making us a part of your evenings. Working on lap 122, about to begin lap 123 here. Pit cycle is starting to close in. We're at about that 30-lap run since everyone else has come in. And so far, Timothy Bates has been able to hold on to the lead for this entire run. Even with Butch Davis behind him, he is really starting to be still holding that pace quite nicely.
Davis starting to reel him in ever so slightly. Diefker also starting to reel in Tyler Vickery. But during the break, I was on board with one of the GoPros that we were able to put on a certain driver's helmet. I'm not going to call out which driver it was, but I do know that he's going to have to answer to PETE after this race, as PETE, People for the Ethical Treatment of Engines. Wow. I know these engines rev to 12,000 RPM. It doesn't mean you have to use all 12,000 RPM all the time. Holy cow.
You can see this is the battle for fifth position as Michael Sturgill and Jeffrey Bogan have come into pit road. Mark Walker and Will Fletcher, this is the battle for the fifth position here. And you could just see on that on the bottom graphic there just how much that 37 of Fletcher has been able to keep up and pull back on the number 6 on the 100 of Walker as Walker comes into the pits.
And you were kind of expecting that. I mean, Walker was he was starting to drift a little bit. He was having a little bit of problems keeping it in the groove. So I'm thinking the tires on that 100 car are just completely whooped right now.
Siefker in. Timothy Bates, the race leader, is in as well. That will hand the lead over to this man, Butch Davis. As Davis comes out of turn 4, he will now take it into pit road, flirting with that outside wall, and gets it woed down in time. And that will give the lead to Tyler Vickery, who now fights Michael Sturgill. Again, now Sturgill just trying to get his lap back at this point, but Vickery holding the race lead.
And this just in, Ernie Ludwig and Ronnie Osmer have both put them on the hauler.
So that would leave, 16 drivers on circuit here?
Something like that.
For the remainder of this race. Kevin O'Brien in the 84, currently sitting as the last car on track right now. That is the 17th position is O'Brien. Chris Simard entering pit road. Again, Simard somehow getting knocked for a phantom lap penalty somewhere on that last restart. So Simard on the back foot now, very much so on the back foot, after running in the top 3 or 4 pretty much the entirety of this race.
Yeah, I'm definitely not sure where Simard lost the lap, unless he got popped for speeding in, which I don't know how that would even be possible with pit road speed limiters. But as he's finished with his pit stop down and away, Vickery finally enters the pit road.
He might have done that on pit exit, as we just saw. He swung out really wide on pit exit. Now in the Indy form of this racetrack, you have to use the access road all the way around through turn 2. Now you have to stay on that access road. You cannot swing out too wide. Possibly that was the case where he got an EOL penalty and he was already stuck a lap down when the caution came out after pitting prior to the caution flag coming out. So maybe that could have been what happened to the 77.
That's a distinct possibility. we're going to have to ask him after the race is over. But the lead of the race, though, is he seriously still leading?
Has changed. Butch Davis has gotten out into the race lead. He pit a lap later than Timothy Bates, probably turned the wick up just a little bit more, and was able to make up about a 2-second gap to Timothy Bates on the pit stop. So there is your leader, the driver of the 43, who's been dominant all night long. Butch Davis back to the front again.
And here's the thing. Butch Davis just got a big help from his teammate, Carl Burke, as Burke was in between Bates and Davis, held him up just ever so slightly, and has let Butch Davis get out to a full second to the good.
That's nice when you have a teammate there that can play rear gunner like that. That's got to be incredibly helpful. So that's Carl Burke. Or was that Carl Burke? No, that was not Carl Burke. That
wasn't Carl Burke? Oh, that was Charles Woods.
Yeah, that was Charles Woods right there, who was the one that got in between those two. Woods right now sitting 3 laps down in the 16th position at the moment. We were talking about Chris Simard having possibly gotten that penalty for extending the pit exit. Good news for him, though, as he battles behind Nate Siefker. Simard right now the only car 1 lap down, so if a caution were to come out, he will be back on the lead lap.
Absolutely is. He and Siefker, though, flirting with disaster in between 1 and 2. Another coat of paint on that outside retaining wall, and they both would have been in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, we'll take a look just off the right front suspension there of Chris Simard. Has won 1 race so far this season. Actually is the one in Siefker's 4 of the last 5. Chris Simard winning at Twin Ring Motegi earlier this season. And you can just hear the throttle work and the gearing, the shifting work that Simard has to do just to stay behind Nate Siefker and to try to stay out of the wall.
Well, he's doing a lot of 6th gear driving right now. Bangs it into 5th on corner entry to try to get the front to take a set. And then if you want to go on, I do have a GoPro on his helmet. I was able to get one on there before he climbed into the car.
On board with it. See that
you can see
there at the bottom right. What
as soon as he can bang into 6th gear, he does, in hopes to try to save some fuel and maybe get another couple of laps out of this thing. As he's right in the slipstream of Nate Siefker right now.
229 heading into turn 3 is the driver of the number 77. What do you call it? The nuclear banana? Is that what you call it?
The nuclear banana.
Yeah, there you go. So Simard right now, unfortunately for him, is not for position. Would be running in 4th place on track as it sits right now. But we had talked about Charles Woods holding up Timothy Bates and allowing Davis to get out in front by about a second. Bates has actually closed that gap quite a bit. As you take a look at the lap time history there, he has been quicker than Butch Davis now on lap 129. Butch Davis, as you see that purple time there, set the fastest lap of the race at a 40.613. Ever since then, however, Timothy Bates has been quicker than Davis, except for that lap. He was 1.2 tenths, 12 hundredths, we'll call it, slower there. But he has been right back on the charge trying to catch back up to Butch Davis. Oh, yeah, somebody big time.
That looked healthy.
That was Michael Bourne, who got bad out of shape in the middle of the back straightaway. And because it was so far off of the racing surface, we stay green. But Michael Bourne making his debut with Sim Racer's Edge.
That looks like either driver fatigue or hardware failure. And by the way that he's able to control the car, get it on the access road, I'm going to say that was just driver fatigue.
It might have been, as that camera you just saw, right at the point where the camera spins around, was where the 19 just kind of clipped that wall on the outside, and it darted him off to the inside. But boy, Bourne.
Clip the wall? He was testing the structural integrity of that wall.
Well, no, he clipped the outside wall, and that sent him sailing into the inside wall.
Oh yeah,
but
that was a bad one. You know, that was one of those. Okay, guys, just go right to the backup car. Just piece this one back on the hauler.
And fortunately for the leaders, that happened just behind them, so they didn't have too big of a scare as far as that is concerned. Right now, Butch Davis leading this race by 1.6 seconds over Timothy Bates, who I would have to assume has turned the engine down to try to save a little bit of fuel. Behind him is Nate Siefker in the 10. Now Siefker currently sitting 3.25 seconds behind Timothy Bates. Siefker put himself behind the 8 ball early with a pit stop. After the caution on lap 11, everybody came in. Siefker then by himself came in alone on lap 24, and that put him in the back. Now a caution was able to get him back onto cycle with everybody else, but Siefker's really been trying to recover from there, and he pretty well has recovered to this point.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's got a really solid shot at a podium finish. You know, and again, it's one of those deals where you kind of wonder. There's a lot of what ifs. You know, what if Osmer hadn't tagged the wall in between 3 and 4 early on in the race? What if Rick Ravon hadn't gotten into the marbles trying to avoid Ronnie Osmer, who had just gotten into the wall? You know, there's a ton of what ifs, and you know, we may never know at this point. But you know, the one thing we do know is Butch Davis right now, the car to beat, as he has stretched his legs again over Timmy Bates.
Butch Davis. We'll take a look at the best laps run. Butch Davis, as you can see, by only 100th of a second, has the fastest lap of the race at a 40.61. Nate Siefker at a 40.62. That is the second quickest lap of the race. Another guy who I'm seeing down in the 46s is Dan Brazington, currently sitting in the 10th position. Here he is on your screen right now, passing by right there. Brazington has a quick car here tonight, just unfortunately for him, has not found himself in a situation to where he's been able to fight for position.
He's had a solid car. And admittedly, Dan's not that comfortable playing with those in-car adjustments like everybody else. You know, Dan's one of those guys that you put him in a car and just go drive this, and he's going to be up there. If you give him things to play with behind the wheel of the car while he's in the cockpit, he's going to drive it and he's going to bring the car home in one piece. Not going to set the world on fire, but again, he's going to bring the car home in one piece, and he's going to, you know, be as competitive as he can be. Now running top 10. Can't fault that.
As we take a look at the right rear of his Dallara IR18, you see it on the quote-unquote fender of that car, and you also see it in the top right corner of your screen, that Get Well Chris Walker little logo there. It's also going to be for the remainder of the season, or at least until we get some good word from Chris. every Wednesday. That will be our main logo on our website, which is espnofficial.com, where you can watch this race, for example. You can watch some of our best races from the past week, links to our sponsor websites, link to our Facebook page or YouTube page, and our Twitter page as well. You can see our next 10 events, which is essentially the next week worth of events, with stream links available. You can learn about us, the ESPN origins. You can also learn little personal bios about the broadcasters as well. You can contact us if you want to have a league broadcasted on ESPN. You can contact us there. And you can also find a link to our Teespring store as well. All of that on espnofficial.com for whenever you guys want to.
Yay and stuff.
Yay and stuff. It's about the point we've gotten to here tonight as Butch Davis
I don't have enough caffeine in me. I'm sorry.
Continuing to lead from this man. Again, another Voodoo team driver, Timothy Bates. Now, we had mentioned earlier in the race the the opening race of the season at Auto Club, which came down to a 0.000 finish between Timothy Bates and Michael Sturgill. This is really the first time that Bates has been running for a race win since that opening race. So Bates trying to, it seems to come alive at the biggest of moments.
He's a bigger track specialist. He knows how to play the draft. Him and Butch Davis both are some of the best drafters that you're going to find in this league week in and week out. In Indianapolis, a drafting track. Auto Club, a drafting track. When we go to Michigan, that's a drafting track. You know, those tracks where you keep your foot in it and you've got to use the airflow around you to try to make moves. And now we're seeing it. You know, Timmy Bates started 10th. Now he's using the draft, and, you know, he's within striking distance of Butch Davis. Butch Davis started 3rd. Nate Siefker, another one that is okay with drafting, but he's better off on where you got to be up on the wheel. Started 2nd, currently sits in 3rd. But how about Tyler Vickery?
Samard hit the wall. Pardon me, but we were just watching. We were just watching Nate Siefker and Chris Samard hit the wall coming out of turn 1. No caution, however. But boy, oh boy, that was a moment for Samard, and it's certainly not going to help, as we'll take a look at it again here. Oh, well, there he goes.
No, that's pretty much night done for Chris Samard.
Now, has he taken a fast repair is the question, but even then, he's going to be multiple laps down.
The towing time is what's going to kill him right here.
Yeah, the tow time. He's going to lose a couple laps just towing here. But
yeah, that was a wild one. But like I was saying, how about Tyler Vickery? Started 16th, currently sits in the number 4 slot. You know, that's a 12 position gain. It's hard to fault someone with that.
Yeah, made his debut about a month or so ago at this point at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, I'm going to debut at Mid-Ohio when I haven't driven with these guys in about 2 years.
You know, as mentioned, this is...
And then almost puts it on the podium.
Yeah, he came very close to putting it on the podium on pit strategy. Had a solid race at Phoenix. Almost looked like he was going to steal a win last week on pit strategy. Unfortunately, wasn't able to keep the delta to Nate Siefker in a point where he would be able to retain the lead for the last several laps. But even here, he's still just about on the podium, running in the 4th position. So he's had a lot of good runs in the 4 races that he's run so far this season.
Oh, absolutely. Arguably not the best qualifier on the planet, but...
Neither am I, so...
Well...
I got my first AO.
I can pull a lap out of my backside if I have to. But when it comes time to go and time to shine, Tyler Vickery is usually there.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself. I got my first A Open win this past week at Kansas, at Chicagoland,
Congratulations.
pardon me. So that was thrilling for me. I'm sure it's not for any of you guys, but it was a thrilling
Hey,
moment
congratulations, man. I know how hard those A Opens are.
for me. Yeah, it was not an easy race. However, I will say the setup that I got from VRS was quite nice. As we see Michael Sturgill, who we were talking about the race at Auto Club, he was on the downside of that race as here comes Sturgill into pit road. This is right around the time we thought that these guys would be coming in for their final pit, for what would be their second to last pit stop here tonight. And as we hit the 3/4 distance mark here at Indianapolis, in the pits we go again.
And this is where the pit crews have to shine, because the driver's got to do their job, the pit crew's got to do their job. And I mean, luckily, as Safeker going to peel off, as he almost was on the backside of Timmy Bates, saw Safeker bring it down pit road at speed, just peeling off as quickly as he can. Hopefully, he got that thing woed down in time.
We saw on
and Michael
screen.
Bourne has put it on the hauler.
Yeah, we saw on the screen there that the 100 of Mark Walker overshot the pits, as well as the 28 of Jeffrey Bogan. Both of those guys overshooting their pit boxes. Here is the race leader, Butch Davis. Will not take it in this time. Will Timothy Bates try to he'll try to block him off. He faked as though he was going in, but comes and stays back out.
Realized he had way too much speed to try to make that wall, because that's it. You can chicken with that wall all you want, but it's like playing chicken with a train.
And
The wall will win.
Yeah, absolutely it will. So Bates now losing time and losing quite a bit of it. I'll bring up the dashboard here. He's only at 210 heading down the back straightaway. Just hits 215, just barely kisses 215 going into turn 3. So he might have really had to turn the engine down in order to make it around this next lap. And here he is already bringing it in.
Yeah, he might have been close to bingo on fuel. As Davis gonna stay out, lets Charles Woods get one of his laps back. That wasn't Charles Woods.
That was Mark McFadden in the 22.
Too many blue cars.
As William Fletcher in pit road, as you see on the bottom of the screen. And that mistake from Timothy Bates will almost certainly cost him the second position. As you said, Nate Siefker was right on him. Barring Siefker having a pit road penalty, that would be second place gone for Bates, as now Butch Davis brings it down into pit road. And let's ride on board with him on his way down into the pit box to get his service here. He's on the pit limiter at this point.
Well, you kind of have to be.
Yes. Yeah, pit road speed 60 miles an hour. Stops in his box. Up 4 new Firehawks. Runs through the pit member. Off of the limiter, and out he goes. Onto the racetrack, and that will leave Tyler Vickery with the race lead, as Carl Burke sits in second place. And then it's Butch Davis. So we've gotten strung out enough to this stage to where Davis only losing a couple of spots, and Siefker has actually pulled back about 2.5 seconds on Butch Davis, as he's got 2 seconds to the back end of the 43. So we could be seeing a duel. I'm sure Siefker wants to win his 4th consecutive race.
So Siefker got the undercut on Bates on those pit stops. And now, as he flashes across the line, he's only 2.5 seconds.
And Bates just set a personal best that last lap and a session best in the first sector as Tyler Vickery brings it into pit road. Carl Burke stays out, and the 53 will lead a lap here. So Bates is on it here after making that mistake, missing pit road the first time, losing all of that time to Nate Siefker. Can't expect a caution at this point with how strung out everybody is. And he really needs to turn it up now.
So get your hate mail coming, folks. That's Frank Marchese, ESPN Towers, New York, New York, P.O. Box OU812.
There it is.
Considering you just jinxed the field.
I mean, if you look at it, Bates can afford to drive the wheels off of that car. You only have to make it another 14 laps as Carl Burke now enters pit road. You only have to make it to lap 170 in order to ensure yourself that you can make it on fuel the rest of the way. So I am sure that Bates running that car into the ground as he is right now, really not hurting his chances at all of making it to the end.
Yes, but here's the thing. Is there overtime?
No.
Okay, then yeah.
You're going a scheduled distance here tonight.
So I mean, yeah,
200.
You got it absolutely right. I mean, if you're Bates right now, you've got it set on fuel map 1. You got your foot to the floor, and you're trying to pick up draft off of anything that is in front of you.
As you can see right now, riding on board with the 6 of Timothy Bates, there really is nothing in front of him as he goes diving into turn 1, putting those right sides about as close to the wall as you dare. And Bates has led the first half, well, the first part of this second half of the race, and since then has slowly drifted backwards. And this time he's as far back as he is because of the issues on pit road.
Yeah, he had trouble getting on the pit road. Now here's the other thing: the track has cooled off 20 degrees since we took the green. I mean, we're only down to 100, or only down to 110 degrees, but I mean, we were 124 when we took the green flag.
Yeah, but that ambient temperature still sticking in the upper 70s. So these guys are dealing with a very hot track here today, just making it slick. But again, as you mentioned, it has gone down. It was at 121 at its peak. So the track conditions are certainly tightening up for these guys, and with all of the aero push that these cars get when they're tucked up behind somebody in the corners, that's just going to make this even more difficult, meaning you have to, those weight jacker adjustment and those anti-roll bar adjustments, going to have to go a little bit crazier with them if you want to keep your speed while you're behind somebody.
And that's the thing. That's where the fact that they had 6-hour practices every day except Thanksgiving for these guys to learn this setup and learn what the track's going to do. The guys that put in the time are at the front of this field. Butch Davis was at every practice. Nate Siefker was at every practice. Timmy Bates was at every practice. Mike Sturgill was at every practice. Tyler Vickery was at quite a few of them. He didn't make every one of them, but he was at quite a few of them. Jeffrey Roulette was at just about every practice. Mark Walker was at quite a few of them. Carl Burke was at most of them. Dan Brazington was at most of them. Who are the only 10 guys left on the lead lap?
Yep.
Those guys. 10 guys.
Jeffrey Bogan had just gone a lap down not that long ago.
But Bogan wasn't at a lot of them. So, you know.
As you see, this is the battle for the 5th position. Michael Sturgill, who you see right there on your screen, with Tyler Vickery right behind him. This is one of the 2 close battles for position here. This, again, being for the 4th position. The second one is the battle we saw at the restart here. This is Mark Walker in the 100 and William Fletcher in the 37. Walker ahead of Fletcher here, as that's Jeffrey Roulette, who's actually kind of falling back to these guys. And at the very top of your screen there, way in the background, really hard to miss him in that bright number 77. is Chris Simard, who clearly had a fast repair, still sitting there waiting, and is back out in the race.
And it's heartbreak for Simard. One little mistake. He was running on the podium. One little mistake put him back in the field. Had to try to hustle the car a little harder than he probably wanted to try to get his lap back. Now he's 2 laps down. So, definitely heartbreak for the driver there from from the New England area.
So you see William Fletcher trying to make a move on Mark Walker and successfully does. That is 7th position. Sturgill and Tyler Vickery. Now these two have sort of broken apart from each other ever so slightly. Vickery kind of hanging in a comfortable spot to where that arrow push not really hurting that number 24 car nearly as bad. Might be trying to save a little fuel here. Now having pit on lap 156, there's still no way that Vickery can make it to the end on fuel, but still trying to keep tabs here with Michael Sturgill.
Well, they're teammates, so they're just trying to work together right now, really.
2 VSM drivers. You can see that on the side pods of both of those guys. Not missing anything up at the front. Butch Davis still leading this race by 3.3 seconds over Timothy Bates. Siefker and Bates have about the same gap as Davis and Siefker do. This is the closest battle for position at the highest point. Sturgill in 4th, Vickery in 5th. As we work lap 166 of 200 here at the inaugural Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500. As there you see on the bottom of your screen, Chris Simard into the pit lane.
And this just in from the boss man. You folks might want to check out our Teespring store, link in the video description below, where you can find all your swag for ESBN. If you want to buy t-shirts that, to support Sim Racers Edge as presented by ESPN, those are on our Teespring store. And the new line of holiday paraphernalia coming out very soon.
So eagerly waiting for your Christmas get up here, just in time for the holiday season. As again, you're watching Nate Siefker battling with the number 28. That is Jeffrey Bogan. Bogan is the first car not on the lead lap, and we were talking about Bogan earlier. That 28 has had a very solid night, has been able to keep his car out of trouble, has been able to keep it out of danger, and is really working that Patron number 28 to a solid run here tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, Bogan, he's like a machine at times. That car will be around at the end of the race, every race, unless, unforeseen circumstances like something cracks off right in front of him and he's got nowhere to go. Bogan might not always be the fastest horse in the barn, but at the end of that race, that horse is still going to be running strong.
Certainly is. As we got one driver starting to move his way up through the field, that is this man in the number 53, Carl Burke. Has gotten around Mark Walker for the 8th position. Now Burke setting his sights on Will Fletcher, and Burke is certainly making the charge up to that number 37. He has the pace. He's got the setup. Could be looking at Jeffrey Roulette before too long.
There's a good possibility that could happen. He's got to get by Will Fletcher first, and Fletcher's been another one that's been strong all night. Again, not the fastest horse in the barn, but here we are. Laps are winding down, and the cream is starting to rise to the top as these guys are making it happen as Vickery peels off and goes pit side.
Yep, and this is the mark right here. If you want to make it from here We've been seeing about 31, 32 lap runs. We have 31 laps to go at this point. Now 30 to go as Davis crosses the line. We are getting incredibly close on fuel, and Vickery has been the first one to peel off to stay out the rest of this race to try to see if he can make up as many positions as he can with guys coming into pit road later on.
The only problem is I don't think he was close enough to really make that much of a difference. As these guys are gonna peel off. I could be wrong. It all depends on who can hit their marks coming onto pit road. We've already seen mistakes happen tonight. With the money stop coming up, this is where the nerves start to get a little jittery, and we're about to see, who can stay calm, cool, and collected, and collect that victory here in the inaugural Indianapolis 500 for Sim Racer's Edge.
And Tyler Vickery was just inside of 20 seconds back to Butch Davis when he made the pit stop, so he's certainly not going to be taking the lead of the race, but he might have a chance at being a little bit closer to this man in the 43. So with that, we know that pit stops are coming up. We are working with 28 laps to go here at the inaugural Sim Racers Edge Indianapolis 500. We will take our final break here. We will be right back to bring you the money stop and the end of this race. Back in a moment. As you saw while we were under break, pit stops are in effect here. This is the money stop with 24 laps to go here at the inaugural Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500. Frank Marchese, Tony Trapasso in the booth here with you guys, calling all of the action here on ESPN. We thank you very much for making us a part of your night, whether you are on YouTube, Facebook, or on the iRacing Live portal. It has been a night to remember as Butch Davis is trying to become the happiest man on this night to remember, currently leading the race with 23 laps to go. His money stop still needed to be taken, as we just saw Michael Sturgill make his stop. Jeffrey Roulette is now in from the fourth position. Nate Siefker has made his stop as well. Tony, we're getting down to crunch time here.
Absolutely. As Davis in command of this one as he peels off and takes it pit side finally, and just barely at the cones gets it down to the limiter speed. Going to be interesting as Bates stays out.
Yep, Timothy Bates looking to get at least one more lap at full song out of that number 6 Voodoo Racing machine, as we're now starting to see Tyler Vickery work his way up through the field. He's already passed Jeffrey Roulette again. He's gotten around his teammate Michael Sturgill. So this strategy for Vickery, pitting with 30 laps to go, is already showing some dividends, as he has a huge lead, about 4.5 seconds, back to his teammate Michael Sturgill, who he was behind prior to making that pit stop.
It was. I mean, you can always count on the undercut to happen here at Indy, but I'm kind of looking a little bit further forward in the field right now, as Bates still out there, and Davis has Siefker right behind him right now. That is your battle essentially for the lead as Siefker flashes by.
He's got him in front of him now as Nate Siefker. These guys can go full song now. You can make it the rest of the way on fuel. Doesn't matter what your engine's mode is at right now. You can make it the rest of the way on fuel. And Nate Siefker, after Bates and Fletcher make their stop, has taken over the effective race lead here with 20 to go. That march back from his early pit stop has finally come around.
And you can see that Siefker and Davis just in lockstep right now, as Davis throws it to the inside going down the front straightaway. And in that little drag race to the line, wow, 1/1000th of a second separated those two that time across the stripe. And this is essentially your battle for the lead, folks, because Bates and Fletcher, who are in front of them in scoring on track, Bates just came in. Fletcher still has to come in. So when everything cycles through, this is your battle for the lead between Davis and Siefker.
I have a feeling we're setting up for another classic finish here. We've had a couple of them here on ESPN this season. The first race of this season, the first race of this league. Actually, again, we've brought it up a lot, the Auto Club race to start the season. One thing we haven't mentioned, if you haven't watched the October highlights montage that iRacing put out at about the middle of last month, that race, that finish between Bates and Sturgill was in there at about the minute 15-second mark, where you could hear Tony and myself call probably one of the more exciting races we've called this season.
Absolutely. And, the way that this one's shaping up, we might possibly put one into the December highlight reel, too.
These guys have raced side by side. I believe this is lap 4 now. These guys are going at it, and neither one of them wants to give an inch. Butch Davis in third place in points is going to get a big points day on Chris Simard, trying to get his first win of the season. Meanwhile, Nate Siefker trying to get his 4th consecutive win, his 5th overall, and neither one of them wants to give it up as Will Fletcher finally brings it down into pit road. These two are now racing not just for the effective race lead, but for the official race lead.
As we are 17 laps to go, Davis and Siefker still in lockstep as they head it through the turn 2 there, and you can see the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum
Ooh.
in the background. Davis made his one move. Stiefker was still there. Davis let him go. Hard racing, but clean racing with these two, and that's what I love about all the drivers in Sim Racer's Edge. They're going to run you hard, but they're going to run you clean.
And that's what we were talking about earlier with the rule earlier in the race, the Indy Snake. Now, it's incredibly difficult. It's easy to not do that early in the race when you know you have time. It is hard. It is really difficult to remember rules like that when you're in the midst of a race like this. Coming down to 16 laps to go, you're racing for the win. You've been running up front the entire race. Butch Davis has led over 100 laps here tonight, and that's on rough count. It would really be a thorn for him not to win this race, all because it got down to a point where he just couldn't block.
And that's the thing is, you really got to feel for Butch Davis. What the hell? Guys, you're about 15 laps early on that type of stuff at the stripe.
I mean,
Triple zeros.
There it is. There it is again. As there you see, there's Stiefker making his one move down to defend that inside line. And honestly, if you're race control, do you really want to call that penalty on somebody right now?
Nope.
That's one where refs swallow the whistle, because this is the best racing we've seen really since the restart at the century mark here. And these two are going at it side by side, 14 laps to go, not giving any quarter to either driver right now.
Absolutely. No quarter asked for, no quarter given. As Stiefker and Davis, they've raced with each other long enough to know what's at stake, to know basically you have so much trust in the driver of the other car to know that they're not going to intentionally wall you, because these are two of the guys that, what's the point in me putting you into the wall so I can win a race? That all that proves is I can wreck somebody better than you. They want to outrace you.
And boy, oh boy, what a run Butch Davis got going into turn 1. Was able to go around Nate Stiefker on the outside lane. And boy, as goes right down to the bottom, does Butch Davis trying to block off that move. He's got a gap back to the 10 of Nate Stiefker. We're getting set for a classic finish here.
Now you got to wonder, did Stiefker burn his stuff up too early? We've seen Butch Davis, once you get about 10, 15 laps on a set of tires, which they're in that zone right now, Butch Davis starts to walk away from everybody.
Yeah, and also
Go ahead.
You've also got to think how long Stiefker was battling side by side with Davis on the outside lane. That could not have done any favors to the tires on the number 10 as Michael Sturgill gets past Jeffrey Roulette. That would be for the 5th position, a little bit further back.
Right. Meanwhile, Timmy Bates just has to bring it home in one piece, and he's guaranteed a podium as he currently holds down the number 3 slot. He's 9.5 seconds behind this battle, folks.
Yeah, no, the podium right now with 11 laps to go is pretty well locked down. The question is seeding between 1 and 2. Third place is on an island, 9.3 seconds behind the battle for the lead you're watching on screen, and about 13 seconds ahead of the battle for 4th between Tyler Vickery and Michael Sturgill. This right here is the battle for the race lead. And you're right, Tony. It's looking like that Dallara is coming in for the number 43 of Butch Davis, starting to pull away ever so slightly, but is starting to create a gap to Nate Stiefker.
He's starting to create a gap. He's starting to stretch his legs. Stiefker doing everything he possibly can to try to stay in the slipstream as we are 10 to go. Butch Davis in command of this one, as he has been most of the race long. Davis has just been the class of the field since the drop of the green after the first caution. But he was working with Rick Rabon before the race. They've been working together during the practice sessions. So you kind of had an idea it was going to come down between one of those two guys. Right now, Butch Davis really looking strong as we are inside 10 to go.
And Butch Davis, again, looking for his first win on the season. Nate Siefker looking for his fourth consecutive win, his fifth overall. Siefker is going to pull on his points lead a little bit, with Chris Simard being mired down 28 laps down in the 15th position. So Siefker's points lead, which came into the night at 24 points, is going to grow. Butch Davis, who came into this race, barring a last lap collision between these guys, that gap up to Simard, which was 33 points going into the night, certainly going to close very favorably for Davis going into Watkins Glen next week.
Absolutely. As we are inside 8 to go right now, as Siefker has closed the gap a little bit. Davis, though, still in control. And we've said it time and time again, catching someone is one thing, getting by them is a completely different one, especially when all bets are going to be off. Watch for Nate Siefker to try to make a ballsy move on the white flag lap, and watch for Butch Davis to try to make that Dallara DW18 or IR18, whichever you refer to it as, about 40 feet wide.
We're riding on board right now with Nate Siefker, and you're going to hear how much he's going to have to get out of the gas with the aero push coming off the front end of that 43. And right now, it's not just the speed of Butch Davis, it's the fact that there's so much dirty air getting to the front of that number 10 that is really hurting him. You could hear how long, if I would shut up, you could hear how long he has to let off through these corners in order to make that line work.
Yeah, and Davis immediately goes right back to make sure he gets the best arc going into turn 1 as we are 6 to go. Siefker, and you can tell by the attitude of that car, Siefker gets within a car length and a half, and then the dirty air, he's got no front grip on that car, and trying every trick in the book, banging gears to try to get the front to take a set, dragging the brake. I guarantee he's doing that, and that car just does not want to turn whenever he gets into the aero wash of Butch Davis, as we are coming into 5 to go this time across the stripe.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about Nate Siefker having swept the road courses so far. Again, Watkins Glen being next week, the last road course on the schedule. Has only won at Phoenix, the only oval that he has won this season. Was involved in a late wreck at both Auto Club and at Texas this season, and just was not quick enough to beat Chris Simard at Twin Ring Motegi for round 4 of the season. So this right here is a big step for Nate Siefker. Forget about his confidence. We know he's a great driver, but to really stamp authority on the point standings, to not be involved in a late wreck here, at least for the moment, is certainly going to help his championship odds.
Siefker and Davis, though, 10 seconds to the good over third place Timmy Bates, who is another 14 seconds to the good over Michael Sturgill right now. So Bates, all he's got to do is just bring the car home in one piece. He's got a podium, which for the season that he's had after, the first couple of races of the season, he needs that desperately to rebuild his confidence. But Butch Davis looking to get his first win on the season as Nate Siefker closes in, as we are 3 to go. Siefker starting
Davis
to turn
hit
the
the
wick up. Yeah, that could have gotten ugly.
Davis hit the wall coming out of turn 1. Here comes Nate Siefker to the inside. This is the closest we've seen Nate Siefker in about 10 laps. He is going to take the lead. The big question is, it was a little love tap to the wall from Davis. how much is that wall hit going to affect him here as we got 2 laps to go. Siefker goes around. Siefker is around out of turn 4, loses it on his own. Nate Siefker, who had just taken the race lead,
and we're under
spins
caution.
it around,
That's
and the
race.
caution comes out. Wow.
That's the race. Butch Davis just won Indy.
And unfortunately, it's going to end under caution. But boy, oh boy, Nate Siefker, 5 miles away from home. And here's what happened. Just off the corner.
And we've seen that time and time again. We've been seeing it off 3, in between 1 and 2, and in between 3 and 4. We haven't seen a lot of it off of turn 4, but there we saw it there, and the car just snapped around on him.
You get an overhead look. He does hit the curbing a little bit, but that really is not what upset the car, which is typical for what you would see in these Indy cars. That's usually what happens is you clip that curbing, and that's it. Your car goes around, but unfortunately, that's not what did it. Just coming off the corner.
Either way, white flag is in the air behind the safety car. Butch Davis has just about a mile left.
And here they come through turns 3 and 4. Only 7 cars will finish on the lead lap here tonight. Dan Brazington, who is right behind the 43, is the first car, 1 lap down in the 9th position. But it has been a night of pure dominance from the driver in the 43, Butch Davis, as he comes off of the final corner. It has been, again, just an utter clinic from the driver of that Andretti number 43, Carl Burke, coming down the front straightaway behind the safety car, crossing the yard of bricks now. He will officially win the Indianapolis 500 for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, his first win of the inaugural season.
I dare say that this is probably going to be the sweetest victory, especially the sweetest first victory of the season that any driver could have ever experienced. As Timmy Bates hangs on for second, and Michael Sturgill coming home in third. So Bates, we figured, was going to come home in third, and he got second place out of it. Sturgill wasn't even on the podium as of 3 miles ago.
He certainly wasn't, and that pit strategy from Tyler Vickery unfortunately backfires on him, needing to run the car a little bit lower than he probably wanted to. Falls from what could have been a 3rd position to a 5th place finish here. Jeffrey Roulette coming home in 4th. Carl Burke 5th. Carl Burke 6th, pardon me. Mark Walker in 7th. Will Fletcher in 8th. Dan Brazington 9th. And Jeffrey Bogan brings it home in the 10th position. And while we wait here for these interviews, which I'm sure are going to be great, we watch now the winner of tonight's Indy 500, Butch Davis. I would assume get ready to burn him down here as a celebration, a well-deserved celebration. He was on it all night long.
Absolutely. Just making sure that the pace car makes it back to pit road before he does anything crazy. And he's still got a bunch of guys in tow.
Looks like the entire field is still here with him.
Congratulating him. This is going to be one of the most popular victories ever, I dare say, in iRacing. And I don't know if he is going to burn it down.
There he goes.
There he goes.
Just making sure he didn't clatter the wall. on either the in or the outside. But boy, oh boy, Butch Davis certainly earned it, certainly deserved it here tonight. And my goodness, what a night it has been. A long night at that, but what an incredible night. As unfortunately, my other cameras are not
You
helping me
might
here.
want to zoom out a little bit. Everybody who finished this
Yep,
race
is still
is
there.
on track right now to congratulate Butch Davis.
And I would think also a pat on the back to each other, because this was a group effort, certainly. And the fact that we only had, I think, one incident tonight that involved multiple cars. I mean, that's a testament
Um,
to everybody out here tonight, and everyone deserves a congratulations after this
oh,
race.
as far as actual car contact goes, yeah, I mean, you're talking about the one between Bergelli and Antonucci.
Yes.
Other than that, it was one car
Yep. Single car.
incidences.
Yep. All
User
right.
was moved to your
So
channel.
with that, Tony, you have our race winner, Butch Davis. Boy, I've waited a while to say that one.
So have I. It's been a long time coming, and I know you were disappointed after Auto Club, but something tells me that winning the inaugural Sim Racers Edge Indianapolis 500 just a little bit makes up for earlier in the season. Butch Davis, congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you, first and foremost. Man, this has been a long time coming. I started to doubt myself whether I'd ever get back in victory lane again, victory circle, whatever you want to call it, and to do it here at Indianapolis, man. Temple of Speed doesn't get much better than that.
Well, for what it's worth, most laps led, fastest lap of the race, and comes home with the victory. Um, just a dominating performance tonight out of that John Andretti tribute paint scheme, Dallara IR18 that you were driving tonight, sir. Um, Talk us through what was going on early on in the race, because I know some of your teammates had some problems, but
Yeah,
you
we
had. Go
yeah we
ahead.
had a plan basically just to try to stay around the top 6, top 8. Just be patient. It's a long race, 200 laps. Um, you can't win on lap 1, but you sure as hell can lose it. Uh, you know, Kieran unfortunately had a technical issue that put him several laps down, and then just him trying to push to get back into it. He made a couple mistakes. It happens. It's Indy. Um, Mike Bourne, not an IndyCar guy, but giving it a shot for him to complete 140 plus laps here. Not bad. I commend him for that. And then Jeffrey Rollette, man, we both kind of got a little screwed on the yellow flag that came out when we were in pit lane, shuffled us back a little bit, but he came back, same as me. We had to fight to get back up to the front, and it was just fun, man. Oh, what a race! I feel bad for I feel really bad for Nate Siefker. Um, just the last stint there, I stayed out too long on old tires, and he had the victory in the bag and just lost it coming out of 4. And I mean, I had touched the wall before that, so just crazy, crazy race. Emotions are swinging.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the outside wall with you coming to the popsicle sticks, and unfortunately, Nate caught the rumble strips coming off of turn 4, and that's kind of what sent him around. Uh, but Butch, this is, like I said, this has been a long time coming. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you get back down and celebrate with the rest of your guys?
I definitely want to thank my teammates, Kieran Bergelli, Jeffrey Rollette, Mike Bourne. Thank all the administration at SRE, Nate Siefker, Dan Brazington, Tim Bates, Sam Cooper Bennett, Chris Walker. Keep getting better, Chris Walker. We're all, rooting for you, man. Thank you guys at ESPN. Again, Sam Cooper Bennett, yourself, and Frank. Just thank my family, too, for giving me the opportunity to sit down here and indulge myself for 5-6 hours.
Well, again, Butch, congratulations, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week at Watkins Glen.
All right, thank you guys. Looking forward to Watkins Glen.
User was moved out of your channel.
And a rightfully emotional Butch Davis
User
at
was
the
moved
end
to
of
your
that
channel.
race after one heck of a run. But here's a guy who really came up in the second half of this race, your second place finisher, Timothy Bates. And Tim, a great run for you. We were sitting here expecting to be talking to you from third position, not second.
Yeah, that late. Well, to be honest with you, I see them two, and I got my relative. I can see how close they are to each other. I thought I was gonna be up there in the winner's circle again. I mean, them guys were, I guess, battling back and forth. And I just by my time I just back there and wait. Today's race, man, I think I feel like I really last time you guys had the broadcast of this, I won. And so I feel like I had a perfect race today, except for pit stops. I was brutal in the pit stops. I was losing so much time in the pit stops. It wasn't funny on the green flag pits. So, but other than that, hey, Butch, holy cow, first win with us, and oh man, if anybody's more deserving, it's him.
Walk us through. I think it was the second to last pit stop where it looked like you had just had too much speed. You weren't going to make it inside the pit wall. Had to go back around one more lap, and it looked like you had to turn the engine way down just to make it. What happened on that pit stop?
Oh, I must just trying to play. I had just passed. I want to say I think it was Bogan, and with dirty air and clean air, the car is I mean, it's just totally different. It's a different car, and so you come out. I think I was coming out of three, and I was kind of in my mind whether I should pit or not, and just that little lapse in decision making, and it cost me. I kind of or not spun, but got loose. I knew I wasn't gonna make it in the pits, so brought it back around. I knew I had a big enough gap behind me. It just was I wasn't gonna catch anybody in front of me at that point. But came around again and let it play out from there.
And you've seemed to have really favored the bigger tracks here this season. We saw you win at Auto Club, had a great run at Texas. Here again, finishing on the podium in second position. I believe we still have Michigan on the schedule left here, right?
That's my home track.
Yep, so there you go. So I'm sure you're going to be looking forward to that. But next week is Watkins Glen, the road course, the last road course on the schedule. What are your thoughts going into Watkins Glen?
You guys know as well as I do, I don't like road course. I'm terrible at road courses. But of all the road courses, Watkins Glen's a lot of fun, and it usually tends to have a good broadcast and a fun race. So I'm looking forward to Watkins Glen as far as road courses go. But yeah, Indy's kind of. I don't know. I think I just got it figured out. I feel comfortable here, and I come in so confident every time we race here. And I never qualify real high in any tracks except for Michigan or maybe Charlotte. But I come in, I just bide my time and then avoid any kind of early incidents that's going to put you behind the eight ball, so to speak, with just getting dropped back in the pack, and then just move your way up. So. And I love Indy. Obviously I love it. And, I'll take a second, especially there's not a better dude that can win than Butch. What an awesome run today. And him and Nate were both faster than me. It would have been closer if I was better in the pits.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go and
Yeah, absolutely.
relax after a long night?
As you know, Chris Walker has kind of put this league on. We got some positive news the other day. I don't know if he's watching tonight, but he sounds like he's gonna be able to watch here in the future. And man, I was just brought to tears yesterday, knowing that he might have turned a corner and that there's good news on the horizon. So want to reach out to him, but still needs prayers and uplifting. Jeff Hollinsworth, if you guys didn't notice, he didn't race today. His buddy Jeff is come down with something very serious, so he wasn't able to make tonight. So just want to lift him up. On that, I want to thank the Voodoo guys, the admins. The admin guys, they've done a great job. They've put on a lot of time, a lot of practice, setups, all that stuff, and of course you guys who do an amazing job. I appreciate it. Hey, let's go on to Watkins Glen.
Yeah, off to Watkins Glen we go. Your second place finisher tonight, Timothy Bates. Congratulations, bud.
Thanks, Frank. Take care, bud.
User was moved out of your channel.
All right, so
User
that
was
was
moved to your
Timothy
channel.
Bates, and now Tony is here with Michael Sturgill, our third place finisher tonight.
Michael Sturgill with about 7-8 miles left in this race. You probably weren't thinking you were going to be on the podium, and yet here we go. Podium finish for the driver of the number 90 tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, didn't expect third. Figured I had either fourth or fifth locked up because Jeffrey was right there behind me. So I was happy with that. But when the caution came out and I looked down and it showed me third, I was ecstatic.
Well, now you and Jeffrey were basically just throwing haymakers at each other most of the night. You just in lockstep, could not get away from each other. And how fun was that battling going on?
It was a good time. Me and him raced each other hard, but clean the whole time. So it's always fun when you can do that.
So moving forward, we leave the world famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway to go to those people who like a little Armco with their racing, and I don't mean Malaysia. We go to Watkins Glen next week. Your thoughts going to the road course in upstate New York?
I'm not much of a road course racer, but Watkins Glen's probably one of my better road courses. So hopefully I can get a solid finish there.
All right. Well, Mike, is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
You guys for broadcasting it. All the admins of the league and my team VSM. It's always good to have good teammates that you can bounce different ideas and strategies off of, so that they help me every week also.
All right. Well, Mike, congratulations on the podium. Hopefully you can use this to build towards the remainder of your season, because we still got a couple tracks left that I know that are right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the last two of the season for sure.
All right. Well, congratulations again, Mike Sturgill, on the podium, and we'll see you next week at the Glen.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
User was moved out of your channel.
So that was your third place finisher, Michael Sturgill. And Tony, it's been one heck of a night. It's been a long night. It's been a tiring night. We've seen, even with the drivers making mental errors, a test of attrition all night long tonight, and a test for my wonderful PC that hasn't crashed on me yet tonight.
Yay! PC didn't crash.
Yeah, this was the important one. This is the one where I thought if it was going to crash, it's going to be tonight. But she's done a fantastic job here tonight as I give it a little pat. Again, just one heck of a night here tonight. This race clocking in at just under 3 hours. So even though it was a full-length Indy 500, this thing, it didn't feel like it was 3 hours.
Yeah, absolutely not. The race kind of, I know 3 hours isn't flying by, but it kind of felt like it kind of flew by.
Yeah, it certainly did. And with that, we will take a look at the final results here for tonight's Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500. Butch Davis gets his first win of the season. Timothy Bates and Michael Sturgill, we've heard from those three, your podium finishers. Jeffrey Roulette, Tyler Vickery round out the top five. Carl Burke, Mark Walker, William Fletcher round out the lead lap finishers. Dan Brazington and Jeff Bogan round out the top 10. Mark McFadden, also those three guys finishing one lap down. And Nate Siefker will fall from a potential win all the way down to 12th position, 2 laps down after that last wreck coming out of turn 4.
Charles Woods coming home in 13th. 14th sees Johnny Antonucci. Chris Samard, not the night he was hoping for or needed, coming home in 15th, 37 laps down. Michael Bourne, great debut for him, coming home in the top 20. 16th for him. Kevin O'Brien, 17th. Ronnie Osmer, 18th. 19th going to Raul Alvarez. 20th sees Ernie Ludwig, Tony Phillips in 21st. Kieran Brigelli, after having a lot of connection issues, coming home in 22nd. And your pole sitter, Rick Ravon, the last car to actually take the green flag, was the first one, unfortunately, to put it on the hauler in 23rd.
And Yari Broadpatcher, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Paul Crumry, unfortunately not able to make the start of this race. So that will do it here pretty much from Indianapolis. Looking forward to the rest of the week on ESPN. It's going to be Tony and I the whole way. USRA Cup Series Round 4 action from Kansas Speedway tomorrow night at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. The iRacing East Super Speedway Series, they are in round 3 of the playoffs. They will be at Daytona in the Xfinity cars on Friday night at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. On Saturday will be round 3 of the E-Formula 3.5 Series from the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya in Spain. Looking forward to that. At 6:50 on Sunday will be the Chris Cup Sim Racing Series. They will be running their 6th race of the season at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Byron Rodney and Ernest King will be in the booth for that. And to round out the week, we'll be right back here on the iRacing Live portal and at Indianapolis with the Kickin' Asphalt Racing's MPI Cup Series Round 13, their second round of the playoffs, where the top 8 in standings will take to Indianapolis to try to see who will be racing for the championship come the final round next Sunday. So we thank you very much for joining us here tonight for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Indianapolis 500.
Hold it.
For Tony Trapasso, my name is Frank Marchese. Remember to like, share, subscribe to our Facebook pages and our YouTube pages so you can get up to date with everything and anything ESBN. Also check out our website, esbnofficial.com, to watch replays of this race, to watch a replay of this race, to watch our best of the week, to watch our live races, and to get a schedule of when we will be on the air and who will be on the air. Again, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. For Tony Trapasso, I'm Frank Marchese. Have a fantastic evening. Congratulations, Butch Davis.